And we're pushing forward. We're pushing. Look, I still got my beard put up, man. I tell you, I look a wreck. I don't want to turn the light on. Well, I'll show you. I mean, look at my beard because I keep it in a ponytail at night so I don't sleep all over it. It's all kinky. I got up, I'm looking in the mirror, and this is what I see. It's a little scary. It's a little scary. This is it. This is what I see in the morning. There he is, Zero Cool. I'm gonna turn my lights off now so you don't have to look at me. Sorry I'm late, man, and thanks for coming. I thought I'd lost you because I was derelict. I was up all night. Well, not all night. I got about 3.5 hours of sleep, but watching the thing and making sure it was running. And then when I went out to do my chores, I was late, and I just buggered off the time change. How you doing, Zero? Welcome back.
Yeah, I have a terrible sense of timing for you, don't I? You're lucky that you showed up.
I'm lucky you showed up. I feel like, yeah, I feel lucky that you showed up. I appreciate it. I'm just gonna turn this over to you whenever you want. I'll be in the room and I'll have my Bluetooth on. I'll be able to hear you.
So
I'm just gonna let you do what you got to do.
Are you doing all right in this? What are you now in hour 16 or so?
Yeah, well, I want to be fair. Like I said, I just ran it last night, and so I got up a couple times, made sure. One time I was recording. I had to do some stuff because I accidentally hit record on XSplit, and 24 gigs was my storage was almost gone, and then I had to find those, and so I had to pay a little bit of attention. But yeah, I'm tired, man. I am. I get a feel for what these people go through, in the radio business. It's not just sitting on, it is just sitting on your ass playing records, but it's not just that, you know what I mean? It's actually work.
Yeah, it is. You actually have to be able to do everything inside the studio as well as communicate with people around you in the immediate booth. And then you still have to make sure that you convey your presence out to the public between the records or the advertisements and everything else. Speaking of which, I am severely disappointed in you that you had Razorfist on and I wasn't here because I'm the only man that can go toe-to-toe with him in the arena of heavy metal. I about wanted to
You mean last night?
No, just like an hour ago.
No, he wasn't. That was all pre-recorded. That's like an old one.
Oh, that's a very old one. So I missed all that. So I don't feel too bad then.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you didn't miss like live. If Razor was going to be on, you'd be honest to God, you'd be the first one I'd call. You two seem to hit it off. You're one of the reasons he likes to come back, I believe. So
who's been on before me? Have you been doing this solo for like the last 4 hours or something?
Yeah, I've been solo all night long.
Oh, Judas Priest. I mean, all I did was go to sleep for like 7 hours. I woke up at 5:30 Central Time thinking, oh, 9 o'clock's not going to get here fast enough and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I know how that can be. Yeah, sorry I made you wait. It really, I don't want to keep saying sorry, but I felt a little derelict in that, and I've got nobody else really lined up. Why? Because it's only 8 hours left. Once you're done doing your thing, I'll get on and dance like a monkey for a little bit and probably play another old live stream. And it won't be long for me now. It's the final push, 8 more hours. And I'll actually have something like 26 hours in because I did a 3-hour live stream yesterday before this madness started. And I'll be ready for it to end then. Really will. I know one thing, Zero. I ain't going to drink no more beer for a long time. I had 5 beers yesterday. And boy, not too long ago.
That's actually more beers than I've had the entire year.
Oh, Lord. It wasn't too long ago that many beers would have it wouldn't even have been the start of the evening. But I can feel it right now. It was way too many. It was way too much. I'm not going to say I'll never drink again because obviously it hasn't worked out for me. But
well, you not drinking ever again is kind of like me not drinking a diet soda here and there. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I'm over it for a while. I can honestly say that I do not feel good. The thought of booze right now is making me feel a little green.
I just went, well, while I was waiting for all this to come up, I was actually going through my computer and I purged about, let me see, 460 gigabytes of stuff on my computer to free up the gigabytes on my C drive. So I was just basically cleaning stuff up left and right.
Yeah, I got to do that myself. I've got so much crap on. I got this new computer, and it's got a terabyte, spinning disk, and then it's got the 256 solid state. And I mean, my solid state's got like 26 gigs left. I've got to. They sell this new thing. It seems like all computers have the spinning and the solid state, but they don't
Yeah.
tell you that the solid state will just get filled up, and then you have to manually transfer stuff to the hard drive. And then what I've found is once I do that, wherever the programs were, like I lose all the pictures that I have loaded up on XSplit and stuff because they're now not in the place where they, it used to find them. So all this stuff would be, goes away every time I do that and I have to find it again. Anyway, it's a long, sad story. I like the setup and I like the big terabyte and all, but the 2 discs is not what I thought it would be. They don't work together seamlessly.
No, they never do. When they sell that kind of stuff, they expect one of two things: either you to be a complete idiot and then buy stuff you don't need, or you to be a complete genius and then realize how much bullshit they're spewing and still think you're going to buy it and they'll get away with it, which usually turns out to be the case.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, and for me, I think I hopefully fall somewhere in between there because I'm no genius. I don't want to think I'm an idiot. Could be true.
I couldn't tell you. all I know is I don't know why that's on my desktop. All I know is I don't know what to talk for about an hour. I don't want you to keep talking because you sound like you need a power nap.
Well, I'm probably going to take one. And bro, if you just make an appearance and go, no big deal. I will find another old live stream and pop it on. I'm just glad you showed up and swung by and said hi. Don't worry about that. This 8 hours is going to go by and I'm going to do it with a minimal amount of work on my part. I'm about blown out. So yeah, it's not the end of the world. In fact, I'm going to look right now while you say whatever it is you want to say and find something to play next.
Mr. Gamer 900 Elko Studio. Okay, is this live? Yes. The absolute question to the answer is yes, it is live. Was it porn? Absolutely not. I don't have naked pictures of your mom, your sisters, or your aunts, Will Fisher, so absolutely not. It was not porn.
Well, oh, mercy. No pictures.
I'm just interacting with people in the chat. They're just,
no, I see that. I think I just thought it was fun.
Everybody's just if people want to ask me questions or ask questions in general, I will be more than happy to answer questions. Oh yeah. Yeah, yes indeed, Wood. It was hentai. It was hentai of, well, name a woman and it probably was there. Okay, so here's something that I was doing for the last few hours. I was actually, besides cleaning the house, I finished cleaning up the house. I was actually reading. I love to read up on theories. I'm not talking conspiracy theories like political or anything. Like fan theories. They are just completely insane. There is a fan theory out. I love cartoons. I grew up with cartoons. I grew up with animation. I love that kind of stuff. I was reading a fan theory about Ed, Edd and Eddy, where the whole thing takes place in purgatory, where the kids of the cul-de-sac, which is Ed, Edd and Eddy, and Ed's sister and Rolf and all these other guys, they're all dead, and that they're all trapped in purgatory, and that the Kanker sisters, Lee, May, and Marie, are literally succubus or demons, and they're keeping them there for whatever reason. Now, the truth of the whole matter is, it's just a cartoon. You don't take it too seriously. But and Plank basically, like Will Fisher said, Plank went with the kid because Plank's, a piece of plank, and he took him because this isn't a friend. Point is, it's just a cartoon. It's meant to be enjoyed. But this theory was so funny because I said, with the way that the characters act, there's no set timeline, you could believe that, and I kind of believe it. I mean, it would actually make more sense if you think about it in this light instead of just, letting it go to be what it is. It actually makes sense if all those kids are dead in some way and they're in purgatory, because the only thing relatively close to an adult that you see that entire series is the, I I believe it's called Ed and Eddie's Big Movie or something. And you only run into Ed and Ed's brother, older brother. He works at a carnival. So this basically means that Ed's older brother, who is unnamed, he's either 17 or 18 and ran away from home, or he's in his very early 20s, probably 20, 21, or 22, and he's working at a carnival. And he's basically the only adult figure in that entire cartoon series. So if that's the case, if they are stuck in purgatory, what did Ed's older brother do to where he's the only adult there, or at least young adult, and is stuck in purgatory with all those fucking brat kids and those 3 succubi? I couldn't tell you.
That doesn't sound fun. You know, the common sense guy, he's not here to cause trouble. He's here to bring some common sense to the deal. Oh,
actually, I'm not. I'm not here to bring any common sense whatsoever, because I absolutely love this theory, because all of the different characters represent different ages.
Time periods. Yeah,
exactly.
And I just think, for me, if you don't know this theory and you watch the show, it's very silly, and that's fine. You can actually see stuff that you did as a kid, or that you've seen other kids do, or that if you have children or grandchildren, like I've got a daughter and I've got 2 grandnieces. The stuff that, the grandnieces are very young. That's stuff, so the stuff that kids did when, I was raising my kid. And it's just one of those things that's great. That's fine. It's a funny show. It's amusing. But if you really take it to heart that it's purgatory, even though we know it's not, there is so much rampant insanity that you can garner from this.
But how do we know it's not purgatory? Because it's only the illusion of a cartoon. It's only the cartoonist's interpretation of what purgatory could be for kids.
Well, the 2 biggest things are basically the colors of the tongues on the kids.
They're always blue.
Yeah, and that's attributed to the fact that the creator, when his kids came in and they were drawing the characters, all had different candies in their mouths, and they made different colors to their tongue. And what was the other? There's one time in the entire series. Well, there's 2 times in the entire series that there's an actual definitive time. I believe something says either 1972 or 1973, and then something else says the year 2000, whether it's a calendar or banner. So basically, if you were to go by the first one, which is the creator saying so, that makes more sense. That would basically say, well, the reason these kids look like they do because I based them off my kids and their friends. They all had candy in their mouth, the blue tongue, and the colored teeth. And of course, that stuff does happen, so that makes sense. But the thing with the years, that to me, although some people would say that
before you carry on, the thing with the years is quite interesting, because when the character is actually looking at the different years, it's a different character for each different year.
Yes. That's kind of what I was getting to, Mr. Interrupt.
Sorry.
And so basically that leads to the credence of there actually being it in purgatory, because no other character, whether it's the Kanker sisters or any of the female characters or the Eds themselves or Jimmy or anybody, they never see any of these times at the same time that the characters do. Nobody ever, every child there does not have the same semblance of time. Every person, every person in America, and no matter what time zone you're in, they know what time it is. Like with me in the Central Time Zone, most people know it's roughly 10 o'clock a.m. People in California time, they know it's roughly 8 o'clock a.m. So everybody has the general semblance of we know what time it is. So we all have that one relative factor of this is what time it is. So we know that we're all in the same time zone, and we all know that we're living. We all know that we have our schedules, and we all know that we're going to be busy doing stuff. And the kids in that show don't. They never share time. They never share years. They never acknowledge anything of that nature. So that to me would, and it's a fan theory, of course, but that plays more heavily into proving if you were to say, yeah, this is what the series is about, just to screw somebody, if nothing else, yeah, it would be set in purgatory. That would make more factual sense for that cartoon being just a cartoon than anything else.
Yep. There's not really too much to go over that theory. It's such a great, interesting theory, especially cartoon theories in general. Quite a lot of them are quite interesting.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen I've seen little girls act the way the Kanker sisters do. And my wife occasionally acts like that. And she's, 44. And it's kind of like, aren't you a little old for that? And she goes, I don't give a shit. I work all day and blah, blah, blah. And she goofs on me and she guilt trips me. And I said, and my wife and I were watching Ed and Eddie before we went to bed last night. And it's just like, I said, oh my God, you guys pull this shit all the time, don't you? She goes, you just now figured that out? And I'm like, I just thought it was part of your charm. And it's like, oh my God. So the whole thing with the Kanker sisters, Marie, May, and Lee being succubi, that would actually make sense.
Yeah.
at least in that ideology of who the characters are, because kids do that, little girls do that, and oddly enough, for the Kanker sisters they are horny.
For a cartoon, yes, indeed,
for a cartoon, and I'm not talking in the sense of pornography or hentai or whatever. I'm strictly talking about the sense that they are severely boy crazy, and that's, and technically by definitions, that's what succubi are. They're demonic entities that are boy crazy, if nothing else, to put it mildly. And little girls are like that when they're at a certain age, because they want to they want to emulate their mommy, or they want to emulate their aunt, and then as they grow up to be teenagers, they want to emulate other female authority figures in a way. So that would make a lot of sense that the Kanker sisters would be succubi.
There's also a theory that I can't remember his actual name out of Ed, Edd n Eddy, but the one who always wears the yellow T-shirt, the one who's always after the girl, the blonde-haired girl. There's a theory to say that he's the male version of a succubi.
Oh, I'd have to look up the characters again.
He's the one who's always trying to get everybody to like him. Where the other two, obviously, one of them is completely stupid, and the other one's got the beanie hat and is the smart one.
Yeah, the one with the beanie hat is Double D Ed, and then I believe Eddie's the complete idiot.
Yes,
and so it'd be normal Ed.
Well, we say normal Ed. He's the one who just wants to feed off of everybody's likeness. He just wants to have everybody like him. And as I said, there's a theory on that one where it's a case that he feeds off of everybody's attention.
Oh, no, that would be Eddie with the EDY. He's the self-appointed leader. Eddie, which is called Ed, which is Double D, is the polite, scientific one and mature in a way. And then Ed is the complete dumbass.
Yeah,
runs around like a dog chasing cars.
Yeah, the one with the yellow T-shirt. That's the one.
Yeah, and I think his issue is it's just besides the fact that he likes Barry White and is a fan of Tom Jones, it's the fact that he's short. He's got a Napoleon complex, and he's the only one that has any siblings. Again, his older brother that ever show up.
Well, never shows up. Yeah.
No, he shows up in the movie.
Yeah, I never watched the movie because the movie's always ruined.
And that movie is the series ender, by the way. So that concludes the series. So even if we discount the movie, he's the only one who ever talks about having an older brother, which we know is older, and by older is actually, again, as I've stated, closer to being an adult. So that would, that's probably why he seeks attention, because psychologically he'd want to be, I want to be like my older brother because my older brother's so cool.
Yeah, he's got his car. He's got all the girls after him. Everybody likes him.
Yeah, and then if you think about it, there would be one character, and this is just the psychology of a cartoon, and you can do this with any cartoon. Just go completely balls out nuts, which that's fine if we do this.
SpongeBob SquarePants is amazing to do that, by the way. If you ever
we're gonna get to that one next.
Oh.
But if you were to take way too much time into thinking about it, Naz would be the Nazz. She's one of the only other girls. There's only
she's the blonde-haired lass, isn't she?
She's the blonde-haired lass, with the purple pants, who's supposedly a flower child who died. But she's the only one who's ever otherwise flirtatious, in that all the guys except for maybe one or two try to go after, which you would think would provoke. And I think maybe it does. I haven't caught everything of all the 135 episodes, but you think it would catch the ire of the Kanker sisters, but then they seem to be only fixated on the three Eds as their quote unquote boyfriends, and then they have the mentality of, well, nobody gets to kick your ass but me.
Yeah.
So there really is that. So these characters aren't complex. They're just fucked up and funny.
But they all fit a purpose. They all fit a purpose. But when you try to analyze everything, it's just a case of we try and find meaning for things that not necessarily have a meaning.
Right. And Danny Antonucci, who's the creator, basically has stated that the personality of the Eds are based on personal traits of himself, the activities of his two sons, and the other characters are all based on children that he grew up with. So you've really, really got to think about the people that he grew up with if you wanted to, what kind of people the Kanker sisters were.
Well, if all the Eds represent him and his sons, I really don't know how one of his sons is going to do if they classify him as Ed that chases after the cars.
Yeah, basically. Well, I'm hoping that's more Danny Antonucci when he was younger, where he was kind of derp, and then he grew out of it. Because as somebody that has a daughter, I was very glad my daughter did not turn out derp, you know, and turn out kind of be like May Kanker, because May is kind of the, you know, she's the blonde-haired one. She's kind of the dim-witted one. And Lee, the redhead, is the strong-willed one, which is like my wife. And then Marie is kind of like my daughter in a way, which plays off of Lee. Yeah. But that's just one of those things that you just end up having freaking fun with, because you can read the Wikipedia on this. You can read all the Ed, and Eddie Wikipedias. And it's just one of the cartoons that I never got into, because when it came out, I was just like, what the fuck? You know, in 2002, 2000, 2001, 2002, I didn't give a crap. I wasn't watching this stuff. And so, but, you know, now that I'm older,
I can say that I was, because I was younger then. I was a lot younger then. I was 15 years younger.
You probably had to be watching this like you're either thinking, this is hilarious, or what the hell are these guys on?
Pretty much. I was thinking the latter.
Now, the question for me is, did you ever run across girls in your secondary school, or what we would call high school, middle school, high school, that were like the Kanker sisters? If so, how the hell did you get away from them?
I did actually come across a couple of girls that were like that. I wasn't one of the most popular people in school, shock horror. But I also wasn't anywhere near the bottom. I had my fair group of people that I would hang around with. I'd play football, soccer all the time, and do sports quite a lot. So I was always mid-range. I was never intelligent, but I was never at the bottom either. I was always mid-group for everything. So there was always this group of three girls. Two of them were they were native born, but they were foreign in ethnicity. And one of them was a girl called Anne-Marie. And surprisingly enough, anytime that I ever got into any altercation, including with a teacher, like as a disagreement, they would always back me up. I had no idea why, because I was a stupid boy. So I had no idea why any of them would like me at that point. And then you get further on towards the end of the years in our secondary school. So coming up to 15, 16, in our final 2 years. And eventually, obviously, as a boy, you kind of work it out. It takes you a while, but you work it out. And then you sort of confront them about it. And then like, no, we never did anything like that. And they like try and push you type of thing. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I was wrong. And then they carry on doing exactly the same thing as what they were doing before. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, if you're interested, why didn't you just say you were interested when I asked you? Why are you running away again?
Well, that's one thing that this is what little boys and little girls should be doing. I don't know how the current generations are going to be, considering how screwed up their parents are. But that's the thing that little boys and little girls did when I was that age. You know, if we liked a girl, we did pull her hair. It's not because we hated her or we wanted to cause any malice. It's like
their attention.
Yeah, it was getting their attention. It was like, oh, who's this? They don't look like dad. They don't look like mom. You know, of course, your adolescent brain does not put the fact that a girl is going to turn into what a mom would look. You know, a full mature female. You don't figure that one out at the age of 8, and if you do, you need therapy. So you tug their hair. It's like, oh, what? Who's this? And you turn around, they jack slap you. It's like, what I do? And she go, well, what do you think you did? And of course, you deserve to get jack slapped.
Yep.
But then they figure out that you want their attention, and so the little games go back and forth, and they are technically innocent. They aren't meant to be malicious, and they aren't, meant to be sexually inappropriate or any of that crap that kids with the internet have to deal with these days. Thankfully, we didn't have that back then. And then that's, of course, when you get to the middle, to what we would call high school. You get to the last 3 grades of high school here in America, you would figure out socially where, who likes who and why who likes who, and then you either pine for somebody or you don't, and then you graduate, and then that's life. And then you look back at high school thinking, geez, that was a fucking waste of time. Not because the education was a waste of time, is because high school is a fucking mess.
Yep. The social hierarchy of any high school, whether middle or high school, UK or US, is exactly the same. You have your sports stars that are near the top. You have your popular, beautiful girls that go out with the older, and they're the pinnacle of what the social hierarchy should be in the school. Then it gets lower. Then you have a separate hierarchy with the smarter people, where if you wanted to be smart, you follow the smartest one. But then if you're in the middle, you kind of see the stupidness of both sides. Where you don't want to be the most popular because you just think, well, they're just stupid and they have no idea what's going to go on. But then on the other side, you don't want to be the most intelligent one in the room because then everybody's going to be asking you fucking questions all the time.
And then that's all they want is to know what you know just to get out of the test and graduate. They don't, because they actually don't give a crap about your feelings or who you are as a person. So there's that double-edged sword. And then if you're like me, you were walking around high school wearing Megadeth t-shirts when you couldn't do it, getting detention every 5 seconds because of how you dressed, and not giving a crap about anybody. Not because you were an asshole. It was because I don't care about the sports stars. In fact, I fought a lot of sports stars when I went to high school. I beat the crap out of them, to be honest. I was what was called the lone wolf. I wanted to get out of high school. I hated it. Mm-hmm. I liked what you would call primary school. See, I don't know. Do you guys have middle school, or is that still technically primary school?
No, our primary school is from the ages of 5 up to 11, and then from 11 to 16.
Okay, so then that would be secondary. So in America, so basically for me, it was like, yeah, preschool was fine. I learned stuff. Elementary school was fine. Middle school was all right, because that's when you start discovering girls and other things. But the second high school hit, I said, oh, I got 4 years of this crap. I graduated in 2.5. That's how fast I wanted out.
Yeah.
And so people, and then I saw all these people that were in my class that were the drama queens, the rock stars, and everybody else, and all these other, and some of them have done very well, which I'm very happy for them. Some of them turn out to be complete train wrecks, in which I say, you remember, and in fact, I actually remember this one guy. I'll just say his first initial, T. So T was basically tormented me in middle school and high school. Well, he had a friend named C, which was actually one of the only people in high school that treated me with respect, so I'm very nice to him and his kids. And his kids never wondered why, and his kids couldn't figure out why I was nice to their dad. But T was basically a guy who tried to torment me, so I beat the crap out of him one day. I beat the crap out of him and 2 of his other friends, and I got my ass kicked. But many, many years later, after the 10-year reunion, I ran into T, and he got fat. And he was pretty much on every sports team in school at the time, but he got a job after high school, and he worked there, and and every single bit of body fat went to his gut. Now, I'm a large man, but I also work out, so I'm kind of half and half. I go up to this guy and said, hey, are you so-and-so? And he goes, yeah. And I said, wow, man, the fuck happened to you? What are you talking about? I was like, oh, yeah. And I would name off all these things that he did. And he goes, do I know you? And I go, oh, I bet you do. And then he figured out who I was. And he goes, oh, wow, what happened to you, man? And I would look at him and I go, whip out my cell phone, took a picture, and I said, compared to you, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And it's irony. It's complete irony, because then again with some of the cheerleaders, they turned out to be once or twice divorced with kids, and it's like, and people call me and people thought I was a wreck in high school because I didn't like anybody.
Yep. No, I've got very, very similar stories, to be honest with you. There's a girl that I always had a crush on. Obviously, as boys do in school, they always have a secret crush.
Yes.
Sometimes it's many, but you always have that one where it's just whatever they do, whatever they say, it doesn't matter. You like them anyway, even if they're batting you away with a book. You still, for some reason, you just can't help it. You like them.
Oh yeah.
And she ended up becoming a lawyer and a proper cheerleader, but like getting paid for it. So she's done well for herself. But there's a couple of lads that were, as you quite rightly said, were kind of dicks. I mean, not always. I mean, there's always altercations with blokes anyway, because testosterone, especially at that age. So there's no hard feelings in that side for me. But some of them is like, yeah, I'm going to be doing this. It's like, you're a mechanic. Now, don't get me wrong, mechanics is not bad, but you're not a head mechanic. You're a fitter. You're not even qualified as a mechanic.
Yeah, they end up, and like with T, he's had the same job every day since we graduated high school, as to where I've fluctuated in my work, and I went to college, and then I landed my job where I work for Medicare right now, and I've had that for about 5 or 6 years, and I like it. But he isn't even the foreman. He isn't even the big cheese, and I don't care how much more he makes than me, because he's got the seniority in his job, and he in doing construction. But you would think that's why people fluctuate in jobs, because they don't want to be stagnant all the time. But this motherfucker is stagnant, and he's twice divorced, and he's got like 2 kids, and I'm like, it's like the irony of irony for when you're in high school and you look back, and then you meet your teachers, and that's the funniest thing, is when you meet your teachers after you've graduated out of high school and you've been gone for a while. And then they're like, oh, weren't you in this class and this class? I'm like, yeah. And then they treat you like adults because you're on the same playing field that they are now. You're younger than them by obviously a lot, but you're on the same playing field.
I have a different aspect to that one. I used to be quite, not pally with my teachers, not to a point where like I would classify them as friends. But with my tutor, the one who does your register, I don't know if you had that type of things. Where you'd always go into a particular class and have a register done, and you'd have a tutor, as in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the day, that you had to see. We used to have that, and with that tutor, or our house teacher, or whatever you want to call it, I'd always go.
We would have guidance counselors.
No, this was
okay.
When we first come into a school, we wouldn't go straight to a class, like as in like we wouldn't start math or English or something like that. We would always go to what we would call registration, where you have we would call it a tutor, but it was basically just a teacher, where you had your year, your class, and the name of the class that you're in, and that would be like for whatever year you were in. Ours was when I first started, it was 7BD, which meant that I was in year 7, so I just started secondary school. I was in Blue House, which we had 4 houses of different colours. And my tutor's name was Mr. Dew, as in D-E-W, as in the water dew. And with him, when I used to speak to him quite often and things like that, I was quite pally with him, to the point where I would sometimes play badminton with him after school, because I was, as I said, I was into fucking every sport under the sun. I love doing sport. But shit fucking changes when you get older.
Yeah.
Right. Should we move on to a particular point? Should we ask any other questions, or do you want to carry on this?
No, I just thought that was actually quite fun that we were, it's just like I was watching Ed, and Eddie, and I said, if I get a chance to talk about this, I just want to talk about this one theory because it's so out there and I love it. And it's like anything else that you don't. Now, most people would think, oh, these fans are completely nuts. I said, no, I think fans read too much into stuff sometimes, but the production, the result that they produce, the results they produce are just so great, because not only odds are you don't think of that stuff. It's just like, oh, it's a cartoon, you just let it go. But when you read up on that stuff and then you read up on it more and then you really try to think about it just to expand your horizons of thinking about stuff, it's funny as hell. Like with SpongeBob SquarePants being a nuclear, the results of nuclear testing off what, Hawaii or something? And it's kind of like, okay, yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, the nuclear
but I'm not sure how you'd get a. Yeah, I don't know how you would get a talking sponge of all things.
Well, that's the amazing thing about the thing is though, it might not be a sponge as in what we consider a sponge to wipe your sides. There's animals that are called sponges, aren't there? As after all, they were the ones that started off most of the civilization, as in coming across the lands and things like that. They were the first.
So I was thinking there. Yeah, I was thinking actually like sponges from like coral reefs.
Yeah. But that's what I was thinking when they go sponge. But they can't really draw a sponge for a kid and go, well, that's what a sponge looks like. Everybody, they're going to do it as what we would expect a sponge to wipe down a house.
Yeah. So.
That was the first thing I ever dissected in biology.
Yay!
What, a sponge from a house?
No, the regular lowly sea sponge. But yeah. When I was young, I mean, we had synthetic sponges, but the natural ones were still very sought after, especially for bathing.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that gets me. I remember having to be in biology class, and you would have to dissect the frog and everything, and everybody would be like, and people would refuse it. Oh, animated, animal rights and all this other crap, and I was just like, I just don't want to do this because I don't give a shit. And now they can do everything on computer, so there's no excuse of, I don't want to do the assignment because reasons. Like, it's animated, it's on computer. You don't have to touch a live frog or even an animal or a human or a corpse or anything. You can do this all in computer simulation and learn about biology that way.
Well, that's too bad because
no excuse to not do the assignment.
Well, that was like a gateway also to find out which of your students would be good with a scalpel. So if it's all going animated or computerized, that stinks. I mean, I dissected it. I remember off the top of my head, I dissected a sponge, a worm, in this order: a sponge, a worm, a frog, and then a baby pig. Those 4 things in high school, and more than that, and after and higher learning. But I remember that, and I enjoyed it. For whatever it's worth. I'm not trying to say I'm sick or nothing, but I mean, you put little pins in the organs with what organ it is, and to lay the I just thought it was great to see the inner workings of these things, and they came dead. It's not like you had to kill the frog. It came in like
that's kind of the point. They did come dead, and they were frozen much like you would freeze a body part on the way to getting reattached by way of surgery. So they weren't jumping around like in E.T. They weren't doing any of that crap. They were dead.
The only thing that I want to say about this is not free the animals, free the frogs, or anything else like that. That's just fucking stupid. But the only thing I want to say to this is, if everything's becoming animated, how the hell are you actually learning? Because I thought learning was the process of actually doing, because that's how most male species, as in us, actually learn. We learn by doing. And if you're doing it online or as in a 3D projection or whatever, you're not fucking doing it. You're not actually bloody doing it. You're not getting your hands dirty, so to speak. It's fine learning how to fix a car from a fucking textbook, but you actually need to go out and actually realize how the brakes are so heavy that you have to sometimes put your feet on the bloody tire to be able to get the brakes off.
Well, there's a difference between biology. Well, there is and there isn't. When you look at it, there is a difference between dissecting a frog and fixing a car. But the theory still plays. The thing is not a theory. I'm reading up on 90s cartoons theories right now while we're doing this. The idea is the same. You have to have the hands-on. I mean, you don't do everything. I wouldn't want anybody who is, oh yeah, I've done all these simulations on a car. I know how to fix your car. No, motherfucker, you ain't ever got your hands dirty putting on brakes or changing the oil. I don't want you touching my car for a reason.
Well, it goes even worse than that.
Right, but that's not the same as a frog but it is the same. I mean, it's not the same as a frog, but it is the same, because if you're going to be a doctor and go to medical school and all you ever do is simulations, you're not cutting into my heart valves. I'll die of a heart attack first. Thanks. We're done.
Exactly. That was my point. It's like, if you're going to go off and start doing biology at the ages of 12 or 13 or whatever it is in high school, middle school, when you start doing it, you're going to have to be able to pull the skin apart, to be able to cut into it, put it apart, work out what organs you're taking out, and things like that. Yeah, it's fine going, oh, I'm doing it on an animation, so I can understand what I'm doing. There's a difference in understanding what you're doing and actually being able to do it. Because actually being able to do it, as in slicing into your skin and actually being able to move the skin across and trying to actually cut the bits and pieces, and sometimes there's a bit of blood that might skew out, or sometimes there might be a bit of skin that's over the top, because nothing's anatomically correct in any biological specimen. By that I mean everything will be in a particular place, but not everything will look exactly the same as what it does in the textbook. Some will be smaller, some will be bigger, some will be whatever. So to actually be able to physically do that is completely different than going, oh yeah, I did it on a simulation. It's like what you were saying, Zero. If you had two doctors come up to you and go, oh, I've got 100 hours on a simulation, I know how to do this perfectly well, but I've got a fear of blood. And then you've got somebody that's a doctor that goes, well, I've got 50 hours experience of it, but I actually don't simulate it. I've done about, I don't know, 50 hours worth of surgeries. What fucking doctor are you going to go to?
Yeah, and that's like when I went back to college to fine tune my computer expertise, and I had already done the programming, and I can't sit for shit to do programming, so they had me go into networking. Well, you can take tests all you want, you can computer simulate all your stuff you want, but until you're gonna get your hands in there, start changing the parts out, re-uploading, going back and actually using old, you put in old code and you actually put in everything, you know, through root menus and everything else. I mean, who gives a shit? That's not, you don't want somebody touching your computer that doesn't know how to write code. You don't want to know somebody who can't change out a hard drive or an actual physical part, or set you up to the internet, or change your IP address, or mask it, or do whatever you want them to do if they don't have the hands-on experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of IT shops. It's funny you actually say that. There's a couple of IT shops that are around in our area. And now I don't know too much about IT. I know enough to get me by. I will put my hands up and be, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to do anything. I know about software. I know about how to work that out and everything else. Well, that's fine. But I go into some of these IT shops, and even I know more about what I'm doing compared to the people that are supposed to be doing the shops. And it's just like, I'm not trusting you with my laptop or my computer. You can just go. You don't even know that if you have a power issue and it keeps on restarting, that it's a power issue. You're going to say it's a motherboard issue. I'm going to go, no, bye-bye now, leaving.
Yeah. In fact, I had a neighbor who, their brother literally dropped their laptop on the floor, hit the corner, but what it did was it damaged the hard drive. So when she turned it on, it basically said, hard disk error. And she goes, well, what does that mean? I said, well, I'm not telling you unless you pay me $50 right now. She goes, why? And I said, because I have a degree and I have certification. I have 15 years hands-on experience. She goes, okay. So she paid me the $50. I said, that means your computer's fucked. She goes, I had to pay you $50 just to tell me that. And I said, no, that's just the start of it. And I said, in very layman's terms, you need a new hard drive. She goes, everything on here is lost. I said, no, you need a new hard drive. I said, you can hook it. And I basically said, look, you can hook this up to a secondary computer and try to run through everything as much as you can and pull everything off that you can. But your hard drive is done. She goes, oh, well, will you do that for me? And I go, you got $350? Nope, then no. And she goes, oh, why not? I said, because one, you don't have $350. Two, I don't have the set. And here's the important part. I said, two, I don't have the setup for this.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh. I said, but what I can do, and then I recommended her to a local business that has worked on stuff of mine as well, so that if I ever have a problem, I said, here's my problem. I don't have the tools for this. How much is it going to cost me for me to have you fix this? Oh, it's going to X amount of dollars because we're doing the physical labor. Yep, there you go. And that was it. And then she ended up trying to screw the guys over that did the work for $100 less than what I would have charged her, and they had the tools, and they've been in business for 7 years.
Yeah.
And so they know what they're doing. They're all certified, and they know how to talk to people. That when you say, I'm having a problem with my computer. The first thing they'll say is, which a lot of people think it's sarcastic, you say, do you have it turned on? And they're not being sarcastic. They're simply pointing out as if you have no power, that's also a sign of there's a problem.
Yeah.
And people think it's, oh, you're being a smartass. No, if you have no power, you may have a power issue. It may be the connection at the back to the cord. It may be the cord itself. Your battery may be shot. You may have at worst, you may have a fried motherboard. You whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, because all everybody thinks about is the stuff like, you're being a smartass or whatever Saturday Night Live sketch with Nick, the computer guy, and all this other kind of crap. Where people think, yeah, we're smartasses. Huh?
I thought you were going to say Bill Nye the Science Guy.
No, they just think that people are being smartasses because the way that they're talking to them. And what happened is, if they have no, and one of the many cases that I run across is they've unplugged and plugged in their laptops or their desktops so much they've loosened the connection at the back. And that's a very easy fix. You pop that son of a bitch open, solder it, and there you go. But that's worth money because it's a skill.
Yeah. Just to be able to solder it. It's like I had a problem with my laptop. Obviously, with the laptop, the power cord goes into and it connects onto a male and a female connector, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So when you plug it in, sometimes if you wiggle it too fucking much, you destroy the bit that's connected to the motherboard.
Yes.
Which, as you said, you need to solder it back on. So I've took my laptop apart. I've had a look at it. I've gone, yeah, I can't fucking solder that because if I do, I'm going to fuck up all the other bit connections that are around it because if I solder it, it's going to dribble everywhere. So took it.
I was never one to solder anything because I can't keep my hands steady enough.
Well, I can solder to the point where if it was a plumbing issue, I could solder if it's to do with plumbing. I can do that because I can go around a pipe very, very easy. That's not a problem. But if it's something where it's that small, my fingers are so big and I've lost momentum and feeling in my fingers so much that I can't even do a screwdriver because I ain't got the grip or the fingers anymore. So I can't.
Right, and that's why I can't do that on a laptop or a desktop.
Yeah.
And I will actually suggest that they go to the people downtown that are these skinny kids. They're literally these skinny kids. Some of them are old as me, but they eat nothing, and they're just basically walking skeletons. But it's like, no, go ahead, trust me. This guy can do it. He's got the reach. He can get in there.
Yeah.
As opposed to my big bear claws.
Yeah. It's the same for when I've got a problem with the car. I would always go, well, I need to get my brakes sorted, but I don't want to take the tire off to be able to fucking hook it all up and get the weights underneath and whatever. So, Matey Boy's got his arm, it's quite long. He can get it around the back and connect the actual stuff together and that. But okay, do that then.
Yeah, and it's now see me personally, I'm more of a lawn care guy. If somebody says, hey, I know you work for Medicare and all this stuff and you help people with stuff, but would you mind mowing my lawn? It's like, yeah, sure, great. I love doing landscaping. I love doing lawn care because of my big bear claws. And I've got a nephew who can do roofs and siding all day, every day. It doesn't bother him a bit. He knows how to do it. It's repetition for him. It does get boring, but boom, 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 it gets done. And a lot of times it takes finesse in a different manner, not necessarily because you have to touch tiny stuff. It's because you've got to be even. You've got to be, straight. You've got to actually be focused. You got to, and all this other kind of stuff. You got to do the same with computers, but you have to have more patience with computers. And that's why I don't fix computers anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with me. The thing with computers is, as I said, I know my basics. I know my basics, but I wouldn't know if there's an actual issue, say, for something that one of your files has got corrupted. I wouldn't have the know-how to be able to go into the program and then deconstruct the file or then make it unencrypted again. I wouldn't know how to do that. So I would never fucking try. I'll just do a quick factory. I'll just do a quick reset to a past state where I know everything was safe. And I would just store all the bits and pieces that I would know onto a separate hard drive or a USB pen that I wanted, that I knew wasn't on that particular date, because I do saving the factory settings quite often. So I'll do it at least once a month, so everything's saved once a month. So if I need to roll back, as it said, I will be able to just roll back a month rather than fucking 10 years.
Yeah. One of the things I've told people is, hey, look, if you're so concerned, this is why I told people, I said, Having it on your hard drive's fine, but you need a backup. Oh no, it won't matter. Nothing's going to happen. And then I've had people that have literally 5,000 plus songs on their iPod, and their computer crashes, and they have no way to put it back on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did I tell you?
No.
Put it on backup? And I go, yeah. And I've had that shit happen to me too. Well, gee, there's a reason I have an external hard drive with all my music on it, so I don't have to put in all my CDs again and re-download them or buy them again from iTunes or
whatever.
Or whatever. And I'm not going to say the last part, and I have it I have all my songs backed up, and they're all in folders, and I took the time to put, like, here's an example. If I have all the Motley Crue albums, I'll have Motley Crue 1, Too Fast for Love, Motley Crue 2, Shout at the Devil, all the way through, and so they're all in alphabetical and then numerical order, so I don't have to worry about, and then all the songs are in their own folders, and so that when I transfer them back over to the new iTunes, boom, 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 they're all there, and I don't have to rename shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I try telling people this. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, okay, I'm stupid. This is why you
get my songs on the new iTunes. Yeah. I tried to tell you.
But I tried to tell you, but you don't want to listen, so fuck you. Fuck off. I don't have to put up with this shit. And that's all there is to it.
That's one of the main reasons why I don't actually bother trying to not help my friends, because I'll try my best to obviously help them. But it's one of my friends goes, oh yeah, this whatever my name is, goes, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. And then somebody goes up and goes, oh, I've got this problem. And it's like, I can fix it, but I'm not going to fix. I'm not going to, because if I start doing that, then I'm now the computer guy, and I don't want to be the computer guy because I don't know that much about it and I don't have the tools. So no, I don't have a fucking clue, mate. But I suggest you go to the computer store and then you ask about your power supply.
I had the issue where once I graduated for the second time from college with my networking degree, everybody in my family wanted me to fix their shit for free, and I'm like, no. Like, what? And I said, you see that paper up there? You see that degree? You see that 3 bits of certification? Yeah. That's 5 years out of my life. If you want me to fix stuff, you're going to pay me. But I'm your dad. I don't care. And then he would try to pull his crap. All the times I fed and raised you over the past. And I'm like, yeah, and?
Yeah, I also remember all the times you didn't give me that pony that I asked for.
Well, mine wasn't so much the pony. I said, yeah, and I go, yeah, and you remember all, and here's my instant rebuttal. Oh, that's great and all, Dad, but you remember all the times I wanted those Nintendo games when you were working at, the company, and you had more than enough money, and it was the 1980s, and the economy was really good and all that stuff? He goes, yeah.
Now you know how it feels.
Well, I didn't, don't have those Nintendo games now, still do I? He goes, well, that's not the same thing. And I go, you're right, it's not. It's just me being a being a dick.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I do appreciate the fact that he raised me and everything else and put a roof over my head, food in my stomach, and clothes on my back like, a responsible adult does.
Exactly.
But I think he comprehended that, yeah, I spent 5 years of my life so I could do that and help my kid grow up to be a successful adult, which she is.
Yeah.
So now when he asked me, hey, I've got a problem, can you look at it? And before I say anything, he goes, I'm sorry, can you tell me how I can fix it myself? And I go, sure. And some people are like, well, how come you don't charge him for doing the same thing? And I'm like, well, if I teach you, if I show you how to do the little things, the big things won't ever be a problem.
See, now you're turning into Jesus. Is it better to give a man a fish, or is it better to teach him to fish?
Well, let's just put it this way. My parents haven't had a problem with their computer for the past 4 years.
Hey.
So I've taught them to fish very well. All because they don't let my hapless twit-brain nephews on their computer doing anything. None of their settings have changed. They run their antivirus, anti-malware, and everything once a week like they're supposed to, like I tell them to.
Yeah.
And anytime there's a change to it, they will look it up on Google, and they will change it back themselves if something is the way they don't like it, and they never have to bother me anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, my mom has been having a problem with her Kindle Fire. And I said, okay, I'm not doing that. And she goes, why not? I say, well, because you know my rule. First off, I didn't buy it for her. Secondly, I didn't set it up for her. Thirdly, if I do something that she doesn't like, I'm going to get yelled at. And that's unfortunately the way it goes when you touch computers. You're going to do something somebody doesn't like.
Exactly.
So I basically said, you know, call, and I said the person's name, since they're the one who bought it for you, and they're the one who set it up for you, and they're the ones that have your backup password anyway. Have them come over and see if they can save anything by plugging it into your desktop and going through the root menu and pulling off any files that you might want, and see if they think it would be a good idea to reset it to scratch. And as long as you have all your passwords, and see, my parents are the type of people, they will literally write they'll say, this is this website, this is the login, this is the password. They will literally do that, which is the smart thing to do. And they said, yeah, okay, sure. So I got called yesterday. They said, oh, yeah, this person came over. We had to reset it because there was something funny going on with the Wi-Fi. And I said, did you have everything backed up like you want? And they go, yep. And they said, all the passwords, all the websites? Yep. Okay, no problem. Because they listened to their son, who said, when I say do this, it's literally for your own good.
Yeah.
So just like when they say eat your vegetables, it's for your own good. I wish I would have ate more vegetables, though.
Should we move on to something else, or ask the chat if they want to ask us any particular questions? Because I've only got 15 minutes left, and then I've got to be a good housewife.
Thanks for coming by too, Common Sense. I'm going to keep playing this game and listen. My voice is about gone from yesterday, 13 hours of talking. But thanks for coming by, brother. Talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, Matt Barkley, I don't care that your daddy bought you every Nintendo game on the planet.
Yeah, I was watching that.
Hey man, that's like whatever. All right, just remember, Zero Cool's opinions are his own. He can say what he wants.
Yeah, I think he knows I'm just picking on him. No, so if there are any questions out there for Common Sense Guy, please ask them. He's got about 15 minutes left with us, and I've got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you've got a question for us as well, Zero, you can ask us as well. It's just not to the chat; it's to everybody. Just to waste a bit of time.
I really never really have any questions for anything. I was talking to Ogre yesterday, and I said, hey, I can do the 9 to 10 run. And it turns out to be like the 9:45 run. And one of the things I wanted to do was talk about cartoon conspiracy theories, because those are just funny.
Yeah.
Now, one of the ones that I was reading up on was apparently, and I'll have to pull this up because I lost it, or I took it down. Which I don't really know how well this plays into it, but I'm going to read it directly from the website. The Rugrats Angelica is the only one who can talk to the babies because they're a figment of her imagination.
And they're
I
all
love
dead.
that one.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
Let me read this before we go on a tangent, because I'm betting you guys have a lot to say about this. She is spoiled, sad, and lonely because her mother is constantly working and has no time for her. So how did it come about that Angelica would have to imagine these babies? Tommy died soon after childbirth, a fact reflected by Stu never leaving the basement, inventing toys that his son will never play with. Chucky died in a car crash along with his mom, also reflecting in the actions of his father. The crash has made him a pathetic, nervous wreck most of the time. Most interesting is Phil and Lil. There never were any twins. They were just one baby. However, this baby was a stillborn, and Angelica never knew the sex of the stillborn, so she invented different twins. She invented twins of different gender. So I'm gonna let you guys go off on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by the way that Tommy's dad, Stu, is always in his basement, always making toys and everything else like that, and very rarely speaks to Tommy at all. Yes, don't get me wrong. His granddad sometimes picks him up and stuff like that. I do remember the cartoon, but as quite rightly said, it's all because Angelica was there to be able to put the only time you ever see the parents pick up Tommy is when Angelica's there, and it's kind of weird. Whenever Chucky wants to talk and is hidden and anything else like that, Angelica's always part of every story. There isn't a single story without Angelica in it, including the movie.
And then that to me would be like, okay, so what about All Grown Up? Does that mean Angelica is just psychotic?
Well, no, she has a psychotic episode because what actually is supposed to have happened in All Grown Up is she finds her Cynthia doll and it brings back all of her regressed memories. And the only people who can remember the time and place of her having all of these memories is her, and I'm going to be really racist because I can't remember her name, but the black chick that's about the same age as what she was, including in both series, All Grown Up and in there. I can't remember her name for the life of me, but the colored girl.
Well, that's not being racist. You just can't remember the person's name.
Right.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name either.
I'm trying to dramatize it.
Well, I think it was Susie Carmichael, who's roughly the same age as Angelica.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what's changed too? I mean, I love this conspiracy theory about the pickles, and my brother's name is we call him Pickle. I guess I'll leave it at that because his first name we call him Pickle, and so I mean he plays the drums too. My brother's a musician, and he's got the pickles all over his drum set, and anyway, he's really embraced it. So I kind of got into that, and yeah, why would it be new when we look at the old cartoons? I'm talking about 80-year-old cartoons. They were always, yes, kind of for the kids, but in a lot of ways engineered for the adults to think about a lot deeper things. And I just think that's another example of this. I really believe that, yes, the kids are a figment of Angelica's imagination. It seems that way, like they're trying to make it that way, like they're not real. They're her in her head. And the doll, I remember that episode. The doll brings back the regressive memories, and quite a show, I would say, ahead of its time, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the creators actually say that it's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with that at all. The creators have basically come out and said, well, it may be that way, but that's not the way we intended it to be.
Oh yeah, and that's the best part about fan theories. They're just fan theories, and some of them are really out there, and there are ones that come out that not only do they make you think, but you can look at it one of two ways: that the person who thought of this had way too much free time, or they really just caught something that wasn't supposed to be there.
Or there's a third option: they were just really high as fuck at the point of watching that with their kids.
That could be because one of the ones that I've always actually got a kick out of was the Scooby-Doo theory, which is very simple. That the Scooby-Doo series is set after a horrible economic depression, which, if you think about it, they're apparently running around in the 1960s and 70s anyway. So if everything is abandoned and falling apart, and all the villains are people who would normally be respected, like professors, museum curators, and celebrities, who have fallen onto hard times like everybody else, how many times have the gang helped someone not going out of business?
Yeah.
Just to say the least.
They're always going out of business. Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, somebody's always going out of business for some reason. So for me, that would actually make sense if I were to think about it as an adult. But as a kid, it's just really kind of just playing off the Universal Monsters type of horror, not the Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger type.
Yeah,
right. Well, I'll tell you the one thing for sure that's not a conspiracy theory. Shaggy and Scooby would come out of the back of the van, and a big cloud of smoke would roll out with them, and then they'd have the munchies for the whole show.
Yep.
Except for every time that they've ever opened the back door and they're cooking on a grill.
Yeah, I know, and it shows different things, but there was definitely some drug humor was put. Shaggy was the quintessential stoner. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he was definitely what you would call the hippie of the group.
Oh, everybody in that series had a stereotype. Shaggy was the hippie. Velma was the nerd, and basically Daphne and Fred were the head jock and cheerleader.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they were the king and queen of the prom or whatever. Yes.
Yeah, together.
But the question is, how would those always just how would they get into a van and start solving mysteries? Because in real life, that's not how stoners do not hang out with jocks.
Not unless they're all stoning together. Not unless
Exactly, unless they're selling pot and smoking it.
Exactly. Be a good idea in an economic downturn, wouldn't it?
What?
I said it would be a good idea to do that in an economic downturn.
Oh yeah.
They're not actually going to solve any mysteries. They're going to create some of their own by putting some roll-ups in particular places.
Yeah. Okay. So one last one before we have to go, Common Sense Guy, because I'm going to round this back to the Ed and Eddie one. Here's the fun one. The passengers aboard Gilligan's SS Minnow were never stranded, but rather died at sea. The island is limbo, and the adventures had by their crew are a series of trials to determine their redemption or damnation. The crew themselves were generally good people and undeserving of eternal punishment, yet they reveled in sin and are unworthy to enter heaven. Thus, their banishment was to limbo. So what about Gilligan? All that can be said about Gilligan is no matter how the crew distracted him or how actively they sought to keep him from interfering with the weather plans of escape they had imagined, he somehow found a way to keep the crew trapped on the island. This is because they never earned redemption. I would say if we're talking about limbo and or purgatory, I would definitely say that Gilligan is Loki or some type of demon to screw with everybody else, because I would definitely say that Ginger and Marianne were succubi, if nothing else.
I suppose everything really fits into different bits, but I would like to say that I don't think that one would be purgatory, because they do towards the end actually get off. So
well, of course they leave. This theory is strictly taking in no way the account of the movies where they actually escape and where they actually do get rescued. One of the things I've always said, I always thought Michael Knight was just a nut job because he has a talking car, and that maybe the people he's hanging out, you got the rich eccentric old man, you've got the nerdy hot chick that works with tools, so she's an outcast, and then you got the guy who likes to be the loner and the bad boy. Well, you get all those three groups together, and they're all completely wackadoo, and they all think that the car talks.
Yeah, kind of a collective psychological break.
So that wouldn't surprise me one bit. So have we reached your 15-minute limit yet?
No, I've got 4 minutes. I've got to 5 o'clock my time.
All right. Well, we got 4 minutes, people. If anybody wants to ask him some questions, feel free to ask.
It doesn't have to be about what we're talking about. It can be about anything that you want to talk to me about. Something that's been burning.
A lot of folks have been up a long time with me, and they're getting a little crazy over in the chat.
I see. Streets on fire. The mob goes wild.
Yeah, it's just folks are getting a little nuts. So, but yeah, any questions? Lay them on. I feel like I can hear my bed calling me right now. It's saying things like, "Ogre, don't you miss me?"
I am not Dr. Random McCam. You can go away with that theory.
Who?
Dr. Random McCam. Random McCam.
Random McCann. Oh, Dr. Random McCam. I see that.
Yeah.
Well, here's one theory that I have, which has yet to be disproven. Now, I'm not saying that Razor Fist and Styx Hexenhammer aren't the same person, but you still haven't seen them together in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, a bit like Clark Kent and Superman.
40 Ounce says, opinion on Brexit, real quick.
I'm really happy that we had it. I think the Europeans are starting to screw us over to the point where they're now forcing us to make different deals and trying to force us to play by their rules rather than actually getting an actual economic deal that suits everybody, especially with what's going on with Ireland at the moment. They're the ones that want to have a border with somebody that's not in the customs union or the single market. Tell them to put the border up.
So let me see. Joey Roy asks, who wins, Satan or Jesus? Well, the answer is Lemmy Kilmister, because Lemmy's God.
I was going to say no. The answer is the answer is religion, because if you believe in either one of them, then you believe in the religion for it.
And I'll tell you the
Good-
same
good
thing I
point.
tell as anybody else. Organized religion is a crock, but having faith is always a good idea.
Yeah, faith is a good idea. Following religion is a bad idea, but faith is good.
Yeah, in the end, I think that God always wins, even if you don't believe in him.
Of course, Lemmy always wins. He's Lemmy. And Joey
Well,
Ramone was Jesus.
And we could
I
go
hate
back,
this question.
before that, but there's always been, like you said, there's always been some kind of organized religion, and it's usually been kind of, it's hard for me to say this because I have faith too, and it just is what it is. So let me say it. It's usually been a problem for man. I mean, when you look at the sects in Rome, and they would kill one another. We had the sun worshipers at the end that finally, amalgamated themselves with what we call Christianity, and they created the unholy Roman Catholic Universal Church, which has nothing to do with. But anyway, I mean, that's a long thing. I'll keep going on. But yes, God always wins because God is man's ideal of what's good and perfect. And but teach their own.
Yeah, I've got one more question that comes from Crumple Point, which is how common is common sense? Which is quite funny, simply because obviously the idea of common sense, there is none. There's no such thing as common sense. All it is a common consensus. So for the idea of people having a common sense, there's no such thing. That's the reason why I chose the name for the cat, as in Common Sense Guy, because there's no such thing as common sense. But yet everybody has an ounce of understanding that you don't put a fork in a bloody plug socket. As in Common Sense Guy, because ounce of.
There's Crumple Point right there.
Hey,
Hello.
hello, Crumple Point.
Good to see you, bro.
Hello, Common Sense Guy. Hello, Mr. Ogre.
Good morning.
Great to have you on.
It's still morning where I'm at.
You sound like what do you call it, Geordie? You sound like maybe you're a Geordie.
Is my volume all right? My mic wasn't plugged in.
Now you
you're
sound
all
fine
right,
now.
Huzzah!
Huzzah.
Oh,
What
wait,
can
you've
we
been
do for
around
you,
for a
sir?
while. Where do you come from? I mean, we don't want you to dox yourself or anything, but what country do you live in?
Scotland. I'm East Coast though, so I sound a bit different to your dankulus.
You sound quite English.
Yeah, at
I
first,
sound
when I first heard you speak, I thought maybe you were Geordie, but then now that I hear you speak more, it's
You
not.
guys all sound American to me, so knock it off.
Well, the Empire is merely sleeping. It is not dead, so you're all British.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Calm down, Sean Connery. Calm down.
No, I believe that's what the Britishers convinced me of that's true. So I'm going to go with it.
What can we do for you today then?
Oh, it's what I can do for you. I didn't want
Ooh.
I didn't want Ogre to have to struggle away on this 24-hour live stream on his own, and I was like, I'll jump on and help out in any way I can.
There'll be no struggle. I'm seriously thinking I'm getting so close. If I add in the time that I was on before I started the 24-hour for 3 hours with, good Lord, I've forgotten who it was already. I'm just such a daze at this point. I don't know. I mean, it's probably going to come to an end here relatively quick. Been a lot of fun for me. It's also something I'll never do again.
That I would hope not.
No,
Well,
and
it's
this is
good to just
Staggers
talk
and
to you as
Jags.
well.
Staggers and Jags gave me the idea, and he actually sat in front of the camera for 24 hours, getting up only to get coffee and to use the facilities. That was it. I mean, I'd never seen nothing quite like that.
Yeah. I've been watching your stream for quite a while. I've
Time
enjoyed.
differences, so I've just been jumping on and off.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of that going on last night, man. I kind of was passing out and waking up, making sure things were running good. And I looked, there was 35 people here at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the bloody morning. I don't know what in the world. Everybody was like, wow. I thought maybe there'd be one person by the time this went on 8 hours. I'm really honored. I am. I don't know how else to say it. It means a lot to me that, even one person would come by and listen to my disjointed ramblings from time to time. It's just hard to even put into words, but I think Common Sense Guy understands too. It's just an honor for us. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. for it, what how many people that we have listen to us, whether it will be 1 or 100,000. It doesn't matter to us. It just matters that you guys are here listening to us and being able to put up with our prattling ideas. It does mean a lot to us that all of you come around and support all of us. It makes a hell of a lot of a difference to us. Keeps us going, in fact, without trying to play too much onto the happy card.
I tell you, it's so funny, Binary Surfer. That's hilarious. I'm not sure if you're just playing Cabbage Patch Bastard. Boy, Cab was in rare form last night. He must have been a little, I'm not trying to put him down. He just loves his wine. It seemed like he might have had a little bit. He was on a roll. I think he called me a faggot and a piece of shit somewhere around 1,000 times.
So just being co-piling.
We co-piled, yeah, kind of. But he's not nearly as hardcore as daggone Cabbage Patch Bastard. I mean, that guy, he's a very intelligent man. And he's a very strong-willed man. He's always fun for me to be around. But I was just going through it in my head. Yeah, I think that's what he kept saying, though. Binary Surfer was like, yeah, if I don't sat here and shat on myself and piss, and like you said, if it doesn't require a catheter or a nappy, it's not hardcore. So I guess I'm not hardcore.
You're too refined for that.
Well, and I believe Crumble Point, you've never been on with me. I'm really glad you're here. But this is it, too. I've just made my mind up. When Zero Cool and Common Sense are ready to go, I'm going to do my sign-off. I'm going to say that the 24-hour stream beat me. I've got things I'm neglecting. Mrs. Ogre's out doing the shopping. And, man, when she gets back, I know she'd be tickled to death if I had the kitchen cleaned up and had all of my farm duties done. So that's probably the way it's going to go. I still and why it just feels right. Started with 0 and it can end with 0 here in Common Sense, and the first time Crumple Point's been on. Yeah, once again, I'm in a daze. What am I saying? I'm rambling. Thank you for being here, everybody.
Are you going to be on later on tonight, Ogre?
Oh yeah. Well, that's another reason I want to can it, because I still want to do our Monday thing. Now, to be honest, Common Sense, it might be an abridged Monday thing. In other words, it might just be an hour show. But of course, I mean, we're going to do our thing. We got a little more slack to pick up. Apparently, the Britisher's going to be on vacation for a little while. Sure, he'll be back.
I'll be there because I've basically swapped radio for you guys.
Oh man,
I'm sitting working. The radio is ass, so I'll just put you guys on, and so I'm here as a fan. I'm just helping out.
That's what I'm talking about. You don't know what that means to the Common Sense guy.
No, it does. It means a hell of a lot. The only thing that I would say while we've got another 5-10 minutes. If you're a fan, not saying if you're a fan, not trying to fucking call you out or anything, but if you're a fan, what type of questions would you like to ask me or Ogre? Because I know that everybody has those type of questions where you really just want to ask them.
Fun?
Yeah, the questions for all of us. There you go. I included you.
Oh, I feel on the spot now.
We work hard so you don't have to be put on the spot.
Well, and it's our job too. It's what we do. We put people on the spot. We ask them questions when they come on and stuff. It always feels that way. I'm the worst at that. I'm the absolutely worst.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, just as a philosophical question, how common is common sense, Mr. Common Sense?
Yeah, I answered that. There's no such thing as common sense. That's the reason why I called my avatar the Common Sense guy. There's only a common consensus. It's only a social construct.
Yep, I agree.
Well, you might as well just ask the question of how much cool does 0 have? The answer answers itself. I have none.
0.
I neither have any cool or I show no cool. So therefore I am 0 cool.
0, you've come a long way. When I first started, when you first started coming on this show, you had 2 gears: scream and quiet. And I mean, you really have come a long way. You still make
that was true. It was either say nothing or say too much.
Well, you're just I mean, you were very adamant. I'm the same way. I mean, we all live and learn, but you've come a long way, man. Much easier to listen to. You got coherent ideas. It's just fun to have you on from time to time. Also, I know you rub people the wrong way, just like I do, and it's good to have that. You don't rub everybody the wrong way. And I think a lot of it's probably just funny jokes, but whatever. Just good to have you. It's nice to have seen the evolution. I don't know if it's the break you took, but like yesterday, you were really on. I don't know, you were on point. It was fun. This is all fun, man. I'm so tired of kissing everybody's ass. Just
no, I did take a break. In fact, after this, I'll probably end up not doing any live streams for the remainder of the year. This was like, once, because he's like, oh, he's doing his near 24-hour stream. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I said I'd be there when he does it.
Is near. I'm gonna have to keep going now because that's what it's gonna end up being. It'll be the near 24-hour stream. I'm gonna have to find something to put on while I do my work and just keep it going.
You're gonna have to, mate. Yeah, exactly. Is what you just said. Just put something on.
Yeah, I have to because it'll never end. It's not even over. And it's already like, well, the near, and it'll go from there. And I got Wood in the side saying, he says your weakness is disappointing, Ogre.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hang the hell in, man. It's not the end of the world.
Look, Christmas is coming soon. We are going to buy you a nice bucket and a catheter bag. And you can sit and do as many live streams as you like because you've warmed up now.
I tell you what, we filled up the thing. I found out that it does at 8 hours. It does tell you, it gives you a warning. And then I mean, when Zero was on the first one, it just cut off. It gave us a 5-minute warning, and then it does only go 8 hours. And I mean, I understand. I guess they can't just let people stream indefinitely because of bandwidth or something. I don't know. But all you got to do is stop and start another one. Anyway, Google is puzzling to me, to say the least.
I put a link in the side, and it's got 30 minutes of a song from a video game that if you really just need a half-hour break, don't show the video because there's no video. Just play that song, see if you can get away with it, and then say, I've got a half-hour break while people think they're stuck in an elevator with this music.
Yeah, I just played a little bit. It's Final Fantasy 7, it looks like.
Yeah, it's the Costa del Sol song where you arrive after you get the submarine, and it's like you're being stuck in an elevator. If you really need a half-hour break, play that for a half hour and go let people be stuck.
No.
I'll find a live stream. I'll find a good one with the Common Sense Guy to Britisher myself, and I'll pop that on while I do the dishes and stuff. It ain't the end of the world. Or you can
just play this in repeat until people figure out it's a repeat. Fill out the 24 hours there.
Yeah, I think there were a few people last night. I never claimed, but there was a few people last night that thought that some of the guests were, on live. No, I mean, in the wee hours of this morning, I was on the couch that you see behind me. Well, I guess I'm sorry you can't see it right now, but I was laying on this couch you see behind me with kind of one eye asleep and the other eye watching the stream to make sure that it was just going. And then, I played Razor Fist, and I played the stream with Sargon on it. Our first big guest was 5.5 hours long. So I just let that whole thing play. That's 5 minutes. That guy, I tell you, one of the only people I have to doff my my non-existent hat to and say he's got me beat. He can talk about nothing or something or whatever indefinitely. The guy is he's an orator for sure.
I was one of those poor souls. I came on. I was like, how the fuck did he get Razor Fist and Based Mama and everything on again?
Oh, sorry.
Somebody kindly reminded me that it was not live because of the Britisher's avatar, and I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God. Yeah, now I just caught that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in like 3 different suits throughout the night. I kept switching out different suits.
The first thing I did when I got back on here was like, how dare you have Razor Fist on here talking about heavy metal without me? He goes, dude, it's a replay. Oh.
Yeah, there's no – you'd been on for sure. Do you ever – I don't know if you follow you or if you follow him. He really seemed to – I don't know. You boys – it's you metalheads, man. You always stuck together in high school. Why not now? You metal, what do you call him?
I follow him on Twitter, and I go to a few of his gaming live streams, but otherwise he and I don't really interact that much. He does a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take this quick break to go. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm going to keep doing your 24-hour stream.
Thanks a lot, Common Sense. I think I'm going to find something too, boys. So it's going to get quiet on my end here pretty quick. Crumple Point, so glad you came by. And then
I'm still going to be
tonight at 9, right?
Yep, still at 9 o'clock, mate. Yep.
All right.
I'm still going to be in the actual video out in chat, but I'm going to get out of here. I've got some chores to do. I'm just going to keep tabs on this, though.
All right, boys. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to find a thing, and I'll let Crumple Point have the last word, and then I'm going to find a good oldish stream, and I'm going to pop that on while I do some chores of my own.
You want to play the one where it has me and Razor Fist, where it was, I think it was the second or last police state, where I ask him, is that popcorn in the back? He goes, well, you notice the popcorn, but you don't notice the handgun. I'm like, well, I saw the popcorn.
Yeah, that was the one that was playing. That was the last one was playing. I could pick it up there. I'll see. I'm gonna look around. No promises. I'm gonna look around and see what's going on. I might end with that. We'll see. I mean, it's only got. I've only got like I don't.
Because I don't. Was that before I jumped in on that live stream then? Because I remember when it was that police state with Razor Fist, I finished out and he and I talked for like 15 minutes afterwards.
Yeah. That was I played two. And the one you were on, yes, it was only the first 5 or so minutes before I stopped it and had to come and start this last stream. So that one you are on, but I don't think you were in it quite yet. Yeah, because that would have shown you right away when you were like, oh, this already happened because there I sit.
Yeah, because I had the yellow avatar with my sunglasses on.
Yep.
But that will always be one of the best. I love telling people that. I said, yeah, I've met like 3 celebrities in my life, and one of them's on YouTube. And I asked them about popcorn, and my wife is like, what the hell did you do that for? And I go, it was there. And she goes, I can't believe I married you. I was like, well, I can't believe it either, but, here we are.
Who's the fool there?
I got 7 minutes and 50
I don't know who's the bigger fool, me or her, because we now have a 23-year-old. So, both suckers, I guess.
And see, I'm not sure when you popped in here. I'm just fast forward to 15.
Oh, you can, yeah. You as soon as you see my yellow avatar.
Yeah, I'm wondering when it is. I know it's this one. There you are. Yeah, you popped in somewhere. It looks like around a half hour or 40 minutes. I don't know what happened. What did I forget to send you the damn link? Probably. That's what I do. I do that like it's my job.
I'm just bummed I came in right at the end, but I was just like, I saw the stream is on, and I was just like, I'm damned if I'm letting Ogre do this marathon of a live stream and have nobody turn up. So I was like, shit, Common Sense guy's leaving, Zero Kills leaving. I better jump on, and then it's like sleepy time. Fuck.
Oh, sorry, bro. Well, I'm not kidding.
It was part of it because I actually had the last few days free, and it was nice to start the stream out by talking about some heavy stuff, and then come back in to finish it off, and we're talking about cartoon conspiracy theories. And I want to explain the reason I was so on about Ed, Edd n Eddy is because my daughter got me back into watching it because I didn't like it originally, and she grew up with it. And she goes, "No, I think you'll get it now. I think just because you're not in your 20s or 30s now, you'll get it because it's funny." And she was right. I watched it as an adult, thinking that I've seen like I said, I've seen kids do this type of stuff, and then she goes, "Oh, here's this conspiracy theory about it." And then when I looked at it through that lens, it was like, "Oh, this is freaking hilarious." And my wife is like Lee Kanker, my daughter is like Marie Kanker, and I've got a few neighbors that are like May Kanker. It's like, holy shit, I know these people.
That was what made me laugh about it as a kid. It was like you just look around and you're like, oh fuck. They live among us.
Yeah, they do. They really do. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a great day. I will. What time are you going to be on tonight? 8 o'clock Central, or is that 9 o'clock?
No, it's 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Our time, it's 3 o'clock Central.
3 o'clock.
4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll do that. I mean, I go on 3 o'clock Central.
I'll get the notification anyway, so I can catch up on it.
Yeah, swing on by. Thanks a lot for your help.
Try to get some sleep,
a lot of fun.
Man. All right,
a lot of fun.
Everybody have a good day.
So Crumple Point,
nice meeting you.
I watched some of your videos here. You've always been interested in comic books?
There was a very large gap where I thought they were fucking stupid, and then I got back into them with a vengeance.
Because I watched you cover a lot of that. You cover a lot of stuff about the comic book world. I love them. One of my guilty pleasures. I got books. I've got old Thor comic books just laying around here because I read them. I'll read like I have Wolverine 1 through 260, something to that effect. I'll read through them, and then a couple years later, read through them again. And I've got Thor 1 through 180 something.
See, I'm like you with it. I don't collect them every month. I have a few. I cherry pick. So if there's a specific story I want to read that is an arc, I'll buy that. I don't just compulsively buy them every month. I can't afford to for a start. But I was wondering, because you've said you liked a lot of my stuff, and I've never seen you talk about comics before, so I was wondering.
Well, I gotta keep with my boys too. I don't think comic books are, something that Common Sense and British are get into. I don't know. I mean, we don't talk about it. And when I mention it, they kind of snicker up their sleeves at me. And they say, I mean, they don't really mock me, but whenever because I'll ask, well, do you think that it's, not very mature? Am I immature because I like to escape to this world of the paper, the smell of the comic book? And I don't, I mean, I'll read a new one, but here's an example right here. I just was reading this one again. This is Thor 257 from 1978-ish.
Beautiful.
I mean, the smell, this one kind of smells like marijuana. It's been sitting in a box with a bunch of hash and stuff in it, so it smells like weed.
Well, now we know what's stronger out of weed and newsprint.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you look at the advertisements. You can earn extra money selling seeds and parachute balls and build powerful muscles with this book and learn to kick everybody's ass with this stupid kung fu. All this stuff, and everything's like a penny or 25 cents. I just love it. I'm old, and it reminds me that I haven't always been old. I used to be a kid. I used to sit under a shade tree and play hooky from doing my homework while I read comics. This very comic. I mean, these are. By the way, I don't just compulsive. I bought them over years. And I don't throw any comic books away. I just keep them. I mean, obviously, I don't take very good care of them either. This one's all bent up. It was just throw it over here in a box. But like I said, I don't.
Than to throw it though.
Yeah, and I don't have them for. My intention was never to collect them for any kind of investment or payback. I read them. I use them. I don't have one comic book that's still in the with a big high rating and number 10 or whatever it is, and I don't have them because I take them right out of the
wildly over exaggerated how much it can be done with that. It's like there's a tiny number of people in comics that's actually worked for, but that's where all these variant covers and everything came from. Like Marvel were like, oh, everybody's doing this. It's like they're really not. DC are doing the variants a lot now as well.
Yeah. Well, it was people wanted.
They're a window to
childhood. People wanted to think that anybody could make money in it, but like you said, you got a better chance of hitting the lottery than getting some comic book that's worth millions. There's only a few comic books in the world that are worth millions.
Yep, and they're
Batman,
also
what is it? Batman #5 or whatever it is. Superman, Detective Comics, issue 1.
There's something like 12 surviving issues of the Action Comics where Superman first appeared, something like that, and that went for. I think it was less than $1 million. I can't be
well,
sure.
Nicolas Cage, part of the problem there, he bought the bloody thing. It was on an auction, and I think it would have went for probably around $100,000. But because Nicolas Cage and his insanity was there, I think he paid something like I'll look it up. What did Nicolas Cage pay for Superman? So really, that was kind of like this Da Vinci painting that just came about. Crumble Point. It's like, somebody paid $400 million, almost $500 million for it, but it's still not worth that. I mean, they just did it because they can.
Yeah. I mean, they should have digitized it. DC should have kept one, digitized it, and just mass produced it. I mean, they might have done that since I'm not like an expert by any means. I define myself as an enthusiast about things rather than an expert. So I get very enthusiastic and I make videos and I talk a lot about these things, but I don't consider myself like an authority or anything. But in regards to you, like I try and, for people like you that watch my videos who, I realize now that you're a comic fan to an extent, but I try and make it so that anybody could watch one of my videos and find it at least mildly entertaining.
I enjoy your stuff. As soon as I found it, I kind of marathoned you for a couple days. got caught up. But this is, so here it is. Nicolas Cage's Superman comic nets a record 2.1 million at auction. The actor.
Oh, it did go into the millions.
Yeah, 2.1. The actor's fabled copy of Action Comics #1, which was stolen from his house in 2000 and found in a storage locker in April, it sold for $2,161,000. So it's not telling me what he paid for it, which I think was close to $1 million, but he did end up selling it because the guy is yeah, and it even says actor Nicolas Cage's 1 million stolen Superman comic resurfaces 11 years later. I mean, the guy is just kind of crazy. You know, he'll go out and buy cars and homes and stuff. I don't know if he's got a financial advisor or if he just don't listen to him. But sometimes these people, they think that it's going to last forever, Crumple Point. But unless you have $15 billion, and even that will go. I mean, if you're going to buy islands and yachts and stuff, that can go too. And everything you buy has to be maintained. And Nicolas Cage,
yeah,
I love the actor, but he's dumb.
Oh yeah, totally. He's completely insane. But you guys talk about politics a lot, and politics is proof that any amount of money can be wasted.
Yeah, damn right. We're wasted by people that say they're your betters too. Is the problem with that? It's like we waste the money, but we're the ones that are supposed to waste it. So hire us again. Vote for us next year.
Yeah, it's the new aristocracy, isn't it?
It sure feels like it. In fact, I'd rather have an I'd rather have a monarchy than the situation we have here. We talked about last night. It would be better if our system was more parliamentarian, if we had members of parliament that voted for the prime minister like y'all do, because there's no money wasted on huge elections. You don't pick your prime minister. I mean, you know that, but Americans don't. Most Americans, vast majority, are under the impression that just like us, there's a set election time for your prime minister, and you go and you vote every 4 years. But that's not the case. The prime minister calls when the election will be held, and it's members of parliament. That takes the masses out of it. And I really believe the further you can get away from this idea of democracy is as bad, if you ask me, as socialism or communism or any of these other crazy isms. An elected republic is something that can protect the people if it's applied right. But anyway, I'm rambling.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the republic camp. And I scold my fellow Brits when they say the Republicans, and what they actually just mean is they don't like the Queen. I'm like, you don't have the first clue what a republic actually is. It's a completely different power structure to what we have here, and you're just campaigning for a president. That's all you're campaigning for, because I'm a pedant like that.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, a president would mess up your system. I mean, I hear you saying it. You're agreeing with me.
It would make no difference. It would be exactly the same, but a different one every 4 years. And the problem is, I'm with you in that I do not like democracy, but unfortunately, I don't have a better suggestion at the moment. So I don't like democracy at all, because or particularly this structure of it. I think a republican system is a very good system, and the problem with you've got two problems. On the one hand, you've got, if you have the votes, then they're only looking to win the next election. They're not looking for the good of the country. But at the same time, if you have them in for 15 years, how do you get rid of them?
Yep, you don't. They're in there then. I mean, look at the Clintons. Look what it took to get rid of the Clintons here. And they're still, it's like they didn't, Hillary didn't want to go away. She's writing books about what happened and all this stuff. And it's like, what happened is you won't shut up and go away. We said we don't want you here. Go away. And now that all the rape stuff is coming up, finally, her and Bill are kind of, but look what it took. I mean, a lot.
The Clinton Foundation, the hilarious thing is the Clinton Foundation has been laundering and stealing money for decades. And it's on paper, you can see it. They've not even concealed it. Any idiot can go through their books and show you, look, the money went in and it never came out again. It's been stolen. And nobody cares. And then, like you say, they're beginning to wash away now, but it could have happened sooner. Should have,
but I care. The problem is that not the right people didn't care, because we have a term we call Arkancide. That's when you're murdered by the Clinton family, crime family. They call it Arkancide.
No, you mean you're suicided by them.
Well, it's because they lived in Arkansas for so long. They're from Arkansas. Well, Billy is, and he was the governor of Arkansas. The Arkansas. I mean, if you start looking, because people say, well, Seth Rich, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. Right now, I'm drawing a blank. I'm a little tired, but I usually could rattle off at least 7 or 8, 10, 15 names. Oh man, I just tried, but I honestly, I'm drawing a blank. But when it's more than people think, because it's not just these Vince Foster. You know, it's not just these ones we know. If you look at the Clinton family, there's something to the effect of 70 questionable deaths surrounding them. But then you look deeper and you realize the amount of deaths surrounding them, in other words, the ones they don't consider questionable, is over 50 people that are close. Because if you just look at the administration, of course, in a huge administration, you know, people are going to die. But these are folks that were close to them. It always seems to happen the night before they were going to testify. I can't think of this black guy's name. He was working out, and his weights fell on his neck. And look, that's hard to do. People think that really happens, like on a weight bench. But when you look at weight, it goes to one side or the other. Yeah. To get killed, usually somebody is above you, pressing down on it, killing you. Anyway, but they're murderers. The Bill Clinton is a raper.
Was there not a Kennedy that was one of the Kennedy dynasty was rumored to have been taken out? Was that like just a tinfoil hat thing, or was he was going to run against Hillary in New York, and then he conveniently died in an airplane crash?
You're talking about JFK Jr.
I can't remember his name. I saw the headline and never pursued it because I was doing something else. But
Junior, the little kid that was there saluting his dad's coffin, man, he grew up to be a handsome, intelligent guy. Well, I don't know about intelligent. He took 3 tries to pass the bar, but passing the bar is not easy. And he did finally do it. And yes, he was ramping up to run for Senate in the seat that Hillary Clinton ran for in the plane he was in.
And they knew that his name would get him through no matter what, because he was a Kennedy. And then that's another thing. There's another dynasty that has a lot of blood on its hands. So it's very much an aristocracy. It's landed gentry of the present, and we're the serfs.
Yeah, it is hard to feel bad for JFK Jr., God rest his soul, because, like you said, I mean, you got Teddy Kennedy, you know, death of Chappaquiddick, man. Car went into the lake, and he jumped out, went back home, went to sleep, knowing there was a woman in there that died. Now, a lot of the hardcore righties, they like to say, well, he's a murderer, he's a murderer. He didn't murder anybody. But the least he could have done was run up to the house and call somebody and say, there's a girl in this car, she's probably dead. And he didn't do that. And he was called the Lion of the Senate, and he was supposed to be this great guy, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It is well known he was good to his staff. You know, I've heard
that's just good tactics, though, isn't it? Does that really mean anything, or is that just good? That's Sun Tzu's Art of War right there. That's not.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Now, people would argue with us on that, but no, I said the same thing. When people always point that out, it's like, well, he's one of the 2 best senators that have ever been there as far as the way he treats his staff, and he never fondled his girls and nothing. Like, well, like you said, only a moron wouldn't, and especially if you're doing evil, questionable shit. You know, you know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll be victorious in 100 battles, as you said. Sun Tzu would be proud of him.
Yep, very much so. Now, I was going to say quickly, like, yeah, I'm a comics guy, but I got into it by accident in that the politics comic thing, because if you look at my first couple of videos, it's like, let's try and find comics that don't possess lots of politics in them and talk about them on an artistic level. And the number of ones I could find was just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And then I started getting into the whole hashtag Comicsgate, which I think is a bit silly. I don't like it very much, but I did a video on that as well, so I won't go into that here. But I am very much interested in politics. It's not present on my channel, but I was just going to say, I could talk your ear off about politics and listen to you all day about politics, but I don't want to keep you up if you need to go. So if you need me to just bugger off, you just say so, okay?
Okay, well, I wouldn't say, excuse me. I got this hash oil, man, and sometimes I take a big hit and it just goes down the wrong pipe. Well, it goes down the right pipe, but it makes me cough a little bit. Yeah, I'm not actually going to go away. I am going to just hang in until I can say I chalked up 24. But yeah, I'm not going to be sitting in the seat. I've got to get up and do a few things. Crumble Point, I hope that you'll, I'm not looking for no commitment, like I want to date you or anything, but I am hoping that you'll come back on with us. And I'll throw the link to your channel down in the low bar on this if I forget for some reason, which I want to do. Remind me. And we'll see if we can't get a few more people to go over and check out your stuff. It is a good time. I enjoy your take. And yet, when you say, I'm not going to try to prod you into this, but when you say Comic Gate, does it have anything to do with the Milkshake Girls and all that? Is that what?
Yeah, that's directly out of that.
Yeah.
Well, it was happening before that. My opinion on it, some people tried to akin it to Gamergate, but the thing is, it's not just one group. It's not one homogenous group. It's a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions who are against the groupthink of one group. So what I said is, to me, the hashtag is a signal that you're getting an honest opinion from somebody. So if they give you a comic review, it's probably cheerleading, but if they give you a comic review hashtag Comicsgate, you know they're going to be honest with you and they're not just a cheerleader for the companies. So that's my take on it.
I'll tell you what, I love your icon, man. Your avatar there, the one smiley ball there amongst all the other blue balls. That's good.
Oh yeah. I love it too much. My little 8 ball is my symbol for all my other accounts, but I love that one too much to get rid of it. It's too much.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have you back on, and I sure appreciate you coming by and helping me fill a little time. Yeah,
no worries.
I've got one picked out. It's the one where Undoomed swung by not too terribly long ago. Looks like the date was August 25th. RPR got a hold of him and got him to swing by on a random day. So I think I'm going to play this stream, and I'm going to do my favorite thing in the world, Crumple Point. I'm going to go wash dishes.
Oh man, I'm shaking at the thought of the excitement you're going to have.
It's the single most wonderful thing that I hate it. It is. I would rather shovel chicken dung, and I often choose to do that rather than wash dishes. But I'm going to do it.
I agree with you. I used to have 4 dogs, and I would go out and clean up the whole garden and everything before I would do dishes. I would do anything before I did dishes. There's just something supernaturally boring about it.
Yeah, and I think it is, I don't want to be sexist because, of course, I'm not saying that women belong in the kitchen, whatever. But there is a thing that men just, wouldn't you rather sit in a garage even and clean tools? You know what I mean? It's not like it's just the act of cleaning. It's something about, like you said, that mindless, soap-suddy hell.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. She worked this weekend, but made a big Thanksgiving dinner, and I never got it. I got to go out there.
Mate, just get them out the back. Put the hose on them.
Well, I got my dog. She'll do the hard part and lick off the crusties and nibble off the hard bits, and then I'll wash them.
Industrial levels of efficiency. But yeah, if you ever need a guest, I'm happy to come on because I've been a massive fan for ages, and it would be an honor. And I do love talking about any subject you can name. So.
Oh yeah, well I'll get a hold of you. I'll keep it to that. I'm going to leave you with this little joke that reminded me of something. There was an old hermit out in the desert of Arizona in the early 1800s, and pilgrims would travel through the desert trying to go to California, wherever they were traveling to, usually California. And once in a while, he would get these pilgrims to stop at his house, and they needed a place to stay. They needed a lot of times water and food. It's the desert. And so this happened one day. He's there at his little adobe house, and this guy comes by, and he's starving and nearly dying of thirst. And he comes in the house and he says, can you help me, sir? He says, yeah, of course I can help you. That's what I love, to have company. I don't see a lot of people. And let me just get some things together. And while he's out there cooking, he sets the table. He sets the dishes down there. And the man just looks. He's not trying to be ungrateful, but he looks back up and he says, sir, these are spotless. How on earth do you keep your dishes so clean in a land where you don't have any water to wash dishes with? And he said, soap and water. And I didn't think much of it. And he said, oh, wow, soap and water. And so they have their meal and they get done eating, and it's time to collect the plates. And the next thing you know, the old hermit says, soap, water, come here, boys. That is the cleanest joke I think I know. It's one that you can tell to kids, and you don't get
on many levels the cleanest.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by, Crumple Point. I will be looking for you now that we know, and maybe you'll pop by once a week, once a month, once in a while, and let us know what the deal is. We will make sure that we put something in the show map right about comic books so we can have a little bit of expertise on that and get the benefit of also plugging your channel at the same time. So I'm going to do it, brother. Thanks a lot for coming by. Get up with me anytime.
Thank you. Yes,
all right,
get
folks.
them dishes done. See you.
As we swing on into the last leg of this wonderful experience that I do not recommend to anyone, whether I like you or dislike you. Oh, Adam and his apple is here. How you doing, Adam's apple? Good to see you, brother. Adam and his apple. You're here just in time to see me like about lose my mind. Been talking for somewhere in the last 24 hours. I've been talking into a microphone for somewhere now around 14 of those hours. And so I found this old video. It is Undoomed was here with us, and he comes on in about an hour and a half. And while I pop this on, and just once again, I thank everybody that has made this thing what it is. Now I've got to take the credit with this is something I've always wanted to do. I hear the regimented things that go down on TV and radio, and you've got the talking heads on CNN and Fox, and you have the talking mouths like Rush Limbaugh and you know, the others. And I often thought, you know, what Crumple Point just said, well, these people, they're all right and everything, but I think that not only could I do that, but I think I could do a better job. I think that I could give people better perspectives, and I could be more honest and hopefully more entertaining. And yeah, it's hard to compare with Alex Jones. I mean, you got him turning the fucking frogs gay. You know, I mean, it's hard to compete with crazy. And he definitely is that. But like I'm saying, as I did last night, let me do it again. Let me quote Darkness from the movie Legend. What is the light without the dark? And so what am I without you? It's nothing. I would be a person staring into a camera, talking into the ether. I was the fool that said that I'd do a 24-hour stream. Somebody put a gun to my head. And now that it's getting close to being over, I've got to admit, not only am I glad I did it, I can't think of a better way to say thank you. I could have tried to shout out names, and I could have shouted out names and sat down for an hour and a half or so and read out 1,117 names, whatever it is. And, you know, and that would have been a form of thank you. But this is what I do. I get on YouTube and I talk to you. Don't make videos very often anymore because I've focused on this. I'm deeply honored, very happy and content with the idea that you folks come around and make that possible. It is the best thing that's happened to me in the last 3 years. I didn't know that I missed preaching as much as I do. And this is just another form of proselytizing. It's just another form of homiletics, just another form of hermeneutics. And so I use my hermeneutical gymnastics. And I use my critical thought. And then I use my mouth and my words to paint pictures that exist in your mind, only in your mind. And that's where the best, most beautiful pictures are. That's where they're at. They're in your mind. That place that no one can touch, no one can influence except for you. We can allow people to influence our mind, but it's not the same as them doing it. We allow them. Nothing happens up here that we don't allow. And of course, I'm talking about folks that are, for lack of a better term, normal-minded. I don't think I fit in that category. So listen, folks, kick back, relax. This is a stream from August 25th, 2017, featuring the Britisher, Common Sense Guy, the Laughing Ogre, and the one and the only Undoomed. As I said, Undoomed comes in somewhere around an hour and 20 minutes, something to that effect. And it does look like Tigerson was on this stream this day also. So lucky us. Enjoy. Thank you once again. I will be looking at the comments section more than you know. So any questions, anything comes up, feel free to put it there. I'll see it and I'll address it. Thank you so much for being here, Welchmere Stories. I see you over there. Love you, brother. You're one of a kind friend, and I care a lot about your ideas. They've really enlightened me. I only hope that, as enlightened as I become from making your acquaintance, Weltschmertz, that I could, in some small way, bring some kind of light and knowledge into your life also. That's important to me. I feel like I owe you that. Because not too many people will take information that's counter to what they believe in their head and actually look at it. And I believe I'm one of those people, and I know you're one of those people. And it's such a great thing when we have a meeting of the minds, like on the Academic Agents channel with the harmful opinions the other night, where Bantu on air heard an argument posited by Sargon of Akkad and the Academic Agent, and me to a lesser degree. I was just being snarky and kind of a dick, but he heard their arguments and on air said, you know what? When I think about this from that angle, it makes more sense. And he changed his mind in front of everybody. And Bantu went at that time from a person that I didn't know to someone that I hold in great esteem. See you later, Wood. I hope I didn't miss that. It's really great. Really great. Great to have you here, Wood. I love when I get Wood. And yeah, I probably will be a Marxist one day, Weltschmertz Stories. So without any other further ado, I have to pull this over here, close some things out here, and we will start up this next little foray. And I'm sure I'll pop in to say goodbye. But until that happens, enjoy this, and hopefully we'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 3 o'clock Central. And we'll be doing our thing. Probably be only an hour show, but the Common Sense Guy and I will be around to kind of dig into the news, see what's going on, and maybe give you our 2 cents on some stuff. So hope you enjoy this as much as I personally enjoyed being part of it when it was original. And I can't say it enough, folks. Thank you once again for allowing me to come into your homes, to come into your cars, to come into your lives, and to talk shit with you. It's grown important to me, and I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy this. Have a great day. I really try to belt out that like that in the beginning for one of my many reasons. I would love to laugh, but it's also because I figure for that little bit of time there is before we start broadcasting and I hit the button and then we actually go on air, that it's so silent that I try to imagine that I jump in there so loud that some of the hosts here will maybe give a little jump and be like, fucking ogre got me again. And so right off the bat, I started wrong with the F word, Britisher. I'll see if I can pick it up from here. It's a big day for us today. So before I get started and y'all tell us how you're doing, I have the Common Sense Caracal. I did it on purpose that time, but now I got to think about it. I better not do that too much. I'll never do that. Get the Common Sense Guy, our new bright, shiny co-host here that's doing so well lately. And we got the Britisher. How y'all doing today? Doing well?
I'm hanging on in there. I think that's the way to put it. One has slightly exhausted oneself in the last 1 or 2 weeks by doing a little too much. But one is coming around again. I actually found myself falling asleep earlier today, which kind of I think is kind of a giveaway sign that one has perhaps been burning the candle at both ends. But one has managed to drag oneself in, and one is prepared to do battle with the ogre and tell him how he is wrong on every single item that we've got on today.
Well, that's why we're together. That's why we're here, so we can point out where the other one is so abysmally incorrect in their very base way of thinking about the most minutest of social topics. I think that's why we're here, to do that to each other. And I do care about you, British. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got a nap. Up over there, Common Sense Guy.
Yeah, no, I'm doing actually quite well today. I went out to the missus. I went out with the missus. We went to our local beach, had a good time. Only got back about half an hour ago. I wasn't sure if I was going to be on, to be honest. But no, I've had a really good day. Brought out a little fun video as well on Fridays, as I always do now. So yeah, I've had a good day today. It's been good for me.
So it's the one you uploaded this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to look at that. You're doing well, in my opinion. I mean, you know, to each their own. But I always strongly suggest, if you're swinging by or watching this later, you go on by and check out the Common Sense Guys channel. I'll probably end up popping a link in there.
Percentage, you also have got a terrifying growth rate. You are aware of that?
No, I wasn't aware of that, but thank you.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's not bad. Yeah, when you go from like 2 to I'm not sure where you're at now. Last time I looked, it seemed like it was 36, 30 something.
33.
33. When you get to a curve, you'll see what it means. There's a little point where and it seems to come in spaces. You know, before I even bring up this first news thing, I've been paying close attention, and I would like to know. It seems like something is happening right now that if I'm staying stagnant, I don't lose a lot of people. But as soon as I gain a few subs, ping, 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 ping. And I'm not sure it's really hurting me other than a number count in subs, because I think the people that may be getting kicked, this is the murmurings I'm hearing. This is kind of a conspiracy theory. But the people that are getting, if they are kicked off of my subscriber list, are probably ones that don't swing by very often. They're like, oh, they won't notice. Pink, 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 pink. Because the lower you keep somebody's numbers, you know, the less chance there is to get any kind of reach out there. Man, I'm telling you, boys, I don't think that's a joke. This month been a great month for subs for me, but it's almost matched losses. And when I look at last month, same thing. It wasn't a really great month, but it matched. You see what I mean? It's like for every 1 or 2 I picked up in that month, I lost 1 or 2. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're the only person who is observing that. I think there's generally a feeling among YouTube content makers who are in this field that there is something very strange going on when it comes to actual subscriber numbers. So yes, it may well be that something a little strange is going on in the background, and that this is not entirely tinfoil hat.
Well, but you see how it's hard for me to bring it up, because doesn't it sound like I'm kind of just belly aching, right?
Oh yes, yeah, I know. I know perfectly well what you mean. It sounds as if you're just whining, but no, I think there is more to it. It does seem strange, because I am seeing the same phenomenon, and I've heard of other people who are seeing a similar phenomenon.
You're feeling you can almost track the people that are falling off as you pick up new ones?
Yes, yeah. And one has no idea what exactly is going on. I mean, to all intents and purposes, it may well be that suddenly, you know, you get a rush of people coming in, and a proportion of them say, oh, well, no, I've looked at it now and it's not for me, and leave again. Yes, but if that were the case, that you would have expected that pattern to have been the case before. Whereas at the moment, it really just looks as if you're pretty much losing people in proportion of what you're gaining, irrespective of what actually is going on. You know, irrespective of what content you've just put out. And it just seems, yes, it just seems odd.
Well, I've been waiting for some information on this, Brisher. I can't. Warlock, I appreciate you, man, and you did a great job, by the way, Britt. They really did, man. Him and RPR. I don't know what I would have done without them that day, because there was a lot of tomfoolery going on that I know you made. If you would have turned an eye to the chat, as well as the other 25 things you're trying to turn an eye to, everybody that they put a cap on, except for maybe once or twice, was needed to. And then once that was sorted out, they only put a cap on people that were, I don't know, man. I can't even.
We definitely appreciate any help we were getting.
So, without getting way off the rails on that too, thank you, Brett, for saying that. Because and y'all heard him. He doesn't give his praise out, like nothing. So we really appreciate it. But the Warlock is saying today he was removed from Sargon and Ogre. And what I'm assuming, Warlock, is you're not saying you unsubbed from Sargon or myself, that you got up and then we were out of there. I mean, that is bumming me out, Britt. Because if I'm even half correct, well, whenever we were ready, I could turn on Super Chat, because I know y'all are sick of hearing about it. But eventually, I won't have no Patreon or nothing on this channel, but eventually, when we do church and we do police state, there will be a Super Chat on there. So if you want to contribute to the Brit at this point, and myself, I mean, anything that helps the British will help me. You could do that. man, I don't want to hang up on that either. Because it's been a big week for me too, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, for me today, and again, it's all go from one to the other, right? And I don't want to sound like I'm whining or want anybody to, it just is what it is. But man, a lot to do today, and there's no way after, how long have we been doing this, Britt? 8 months?
Something like that, yeah.
There's no way I want to just get here after 8 months of doing this kind of thing with some kind of goal in mind. It's not just sitting around having tea with some mates. I would feel bad if it didn't have some structure. So
you have to aim for something, don't you? That is what you kind of are saying.
If you aim for nothing, you're likely to hit it. Yes.
Yes.
That's what I've heard. So anyway, I mean, you've got a little bit of something put into it. Now, man, I feel like I'm belaboring super chat, but all of these folks, Mad Woman Muses keeps coming to mind, Britisher. I need to ask her if this is happening to her. She'll be very honest. But she's one of those folks, when I watch her content, when I see her morning show, her news show, she is not just going, hey, we're a bunch of morons talking trash. Would you please put $5 in our hat? We never had a genuine idea amongst all of us, but would you please put – and hey, there's people that want that. I mean, you had Jerry Springer was very popular, and people inadvertently did the same thing with Jerry Springer that they do in this case. But when I do see people like Mad Woman Muses, I humbly say, yourself, Brett. And I very humbly say, what we've strived. I mean, I'm really reluctant to use my own self, but what's happened here, it's work. Boom, there you go. I hate to think that our hard work would be rewarded by the people that we have benefited the most, Britisher, would be rewarded by stripping away the things that we've worked so hard for.
Yeah, I think it's the fact, it's the sense that one works so hard in order to up the subscriber number. And if there is something working against us behind the scenes that is basically unsubscribing people who don't even realize they're being unsubscribed, then you very quickly get the feeling that you're kind of treading water, that you're really struggling to get anywhere, and that you're not getting a fair representation of what you're actually gaining, if you know what I mean. So it is made to look as though you perhaps may only have, gained 10 people, whereas maybe you've actually gained as many as 40, but for some mysterious reason, 30 have left again.
Right on.
I'm quite lucky. I don't have any of this problem. I just go, yay, I've got some more subscribers.
You will, mate. I thought, look, and I'd want to I'm not trying to be a doomsayer, but I'm going to tell you, I remember hearing some rumblings. I think I'd mentioned him in this stream. It might have been before, about Prince of Queens. I'm not a friend, but somebody I know. And, telling me one time in the after chat, telling us lads that were there, oh, I woke up this morning, something's going on. This was 7, 8 months ago. And I have heard Britishers say some things. He usually doesn't go right to numbers. He usually tell me, Brit, about algorithms and whatnot affecting your views and whatever it is. And man, I'm telling you, mate, soon enough, you have good content, and your content, even though it's even keeled, I listen to all of your stuff, brother. I just watched the one you put up. It's even keeled, but it's real. They will turn. The Eye of Sauron is rotating in its socket, brother.
If we want to call people skeptics, I mean, it's very difficult to find names for people online, isn't it? As far as the group is concerned. But it would be funny if we could organize a day once in which everybody at the same time uploads a kind of totally pro-social justice content video, that everybody churns out their own, oh, isn't feminism wonderful kind of video.
I don't think I could do that.
And
not before an experiment.
Everybody at the same time, from Sargon to the Armored Skeptic to Logic to TJ Kirk to
hell to you and I.
Everybody would basically make their own little sort of 3-4 minute video praising Black Lives Matter and feminism and and multiculturalism and all these things.
Sexuality. Gotta watch the microaggressions.
And then see whether these things get demonetized, and whether because it would be from the usual suspects. It would be from the bad people. It would be from the people who do the wrong thing. But if they actually would put out something in which, you know, Donald Trump was Hitler, and you know, everybody is agreeing with Anita Sarkeesian, if something like that were made, and it would be done en masse across basically the entire, you know, spectrum of skeptic YouTubers, it would be interesting to see whether it would suffer any demonetization. And I'm not talking of everybody putting the same video up. I'm talking of everyone making an individual video of that sort, just as a kind of joke, and then to see how YouTube would react to it.
And in the end, didn't Sargon say that he didn't experience that same phenomenon? Who were we just talking to? That when we brung up, man, Lord, I can't believe it, Brett, I'm getting old, because the more we talk to so many people, it's hard for me to keep track. But we were just speaking to somebody, and we asked if they saw that same phenomenon that Razorfist was talking about, that, you know, he's moving stuff in the background going blah, 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 blah. And before it's even, you know, ready, it's still on private. And they've said, no, it's no demonetized. And so, but wasn't Sargon saying that he didn't really feel that part of it, that it wasn't automatic, but that they did end up all being took down?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It is, as you say, we speak to that many people that eventually you lose track about who said what.
Well, maybe a bloody dream last night, too, as far as I know. I think about this shit so much, who knows? I could have just dreamt it up.
I watch a person called Mr. Dapperton, and I know that he recently did an actual experiment where he uploaded two videos, one where he didn't say anything and one in which he swore. Now, in the one that he swore, it was demonetized straight away. In the one where he didn't, and he was still talking about like justice and things like that, and kittens and gobbledygook, it wasn't demonetized at all. So as for blacklists, I'm not 100% sure on what's going on that aspect, but it does seem that maybe some people are picked on and maybe some people aren't, because it doesn't work the same for everyone.
Yeah. And I could, honest to God, boys, talk about this stuff all night. This is not one of those times where it's like, well, I better move it along because we're petered out on this. But the problem is we have free content makers here, ranging in size from small to tiny, small to tiny to minuscule, I would say.
Yes, I mean, neither of us are giants of YouTube, are we? I think it's fair to say.
Things, we're pretty much peers. I mean, I love you, yes. Britt, but
I fully agree. I mean, you know, in the greater scheme of things, if we stand next to PewDiePie, I don't think he would notice either of us more than the other, if you know what I mean.
No, nobody would know who the hell any of us were. And that goes the whole nine. You know, I find myself, and yeah, this is kind of a plug as that we do the segue, but almost feeling offended when I ask somebody, I'm talking about something I heard, especially these, like Sargon or Philly DeFranco or, you know, Boogie. I'll be like talking to somebody in the real world that's like, hey, yeah, you know, Philip DeFranco was saying, and they give me that blank look. Like, oh, you know Philip DeFranco? No, don't know who he is. But you never heard of him? No, never heard. You heard of YouTube? Yeah, heard of YouTube. And I'm not talking to like a 15-year-old girl. I'm talking to a dude like me. It's like, oh, so you've heard of YouTube? Yeah. So what do you watch on YouTube? You know, sometimes we watch like those makeup things. And I'm like, you watch makeup? There's grown men more often than not tell me their consumption of YouTube is that they're peering over their, yeah. Oh man. Anyway, that is crushing me down.
Actually, given that you just mentioned Philip DeFranco, you've just kind of sparked something off. So this is completely unprepared. But I don't know if you have heard the news regarding H3H3.
No.
H3H3 Productions, they were being sued for having made a critical video about someone else's content. And basically they were being sued for copyright infringement. And it was Philip DeFranco who highlighted basically their plight, because I think they were being sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not even more than $1 million. And I'm not sure, I'm a bit hazy about the exact details, but it was all about fair use. So if someone does a video, are you allowed to take snippet, you know, are you allowed to basically take that video and then edit it and put your comments in between to kind of say what you think of what is happening here. So we're not talking about, you know, those reaction videos where you've just basically got people sitting on their sofa at home watching the screen and more often than not doing nothing. And it's just basically a cheap way of ripping off the content of other channels. But in this case, a proper critical video about, you know, basically reacting to what this particular person has said, or you know, their opinion or their political views, whatever. And of course, that is what we all highly rely on, the ability to have fair use of material for the sake of criticism or news, if you know what I mean. And they were being sued, and everybody realized that if they would have lost, it would have been a serious blow to basically the entire YouTube community. And Philip DeFranco was the one who kind of highlighted it way back when. And I think quite a lot of support came their way in helping them to actually fight the court case. Now, it's taken 1.5 years because, of course, the law always moves at a fantastic speed, as the case of Count Dankula already proves. But it has, just in the last few days, the verdict has come out and they have won. So they have actually managed to fight off the copyright claim. And the judge has thrown all the points that were made out, because I think they were also, I mean, I forget the legal jargon, you know, they were being accused of effectively slandering that person by what they were saying about him and things like that. And everything was thrown out. The judge basically just said, look, it's a matter of law that you are perfectly entitled to critique somebody else's content, because it's a matter of you just basically uttering your opinion. And in some cases, you will need to show that other person's content in order to illustrate what it is you are actually opining on. And therefore, that is perfectly within fair use. So there is now effectively a court case that says that, yes, it is that it is okay to be a YouTube content provider, so to speak. So, no, sorry, this was I had not thought of that at all in the run-up to our talking about what we wanted to talk about. It just suddenly came to mind when you mentioned Philip DeFranco.
Let me interject this too, Brett. Somebody made a comment out here in the chat. Got to recognize people once in a while. Loudmouth Reviews says, fair use protects commentary and parody. But he says reaction channels don't offer any kind of commentary or parody or criticism of anything. So he's saying the first thing he said is reaction channels are not fair use.
Yes, I would agree with that. Well, yes, and I think H3H3 would agree with that.
But when you're talking about reaction, if you watch it, if you're giving,
I'm with Ogre on this one. I disagree.
That is commentary. Yeah, I gotta disagree. Why?
Well, no, what I mean is, I think we're perhaps slightly misunderstanding each other as to what is reaction. So basically, if you have someone like Bearing or Undoomed or whatever doing a video in which they are reacting to some young feminist spouting off on YouTube, and they basically show that video and then intercut it once in a while and then make their comments about what they think about it, they react to it. That is perfectly fair game. That's perfectly okay.
Okay, because I know why.
There is a type of reaction video in which, say, the main screen is taken up by someone else's content, or even by a movie or some such thing. And then there is a small section of the screen that is taken up by the person sitting in their living room watching that content. And they may simply just, you know, in live stream to that material, just be pulling faces, going ooh, ah, oh really, as this is happening.
Can I ask a question, Brett?
There is that type of reaction video, and more often than not, it is just another way of ripping off someone else's content because you're not adding anything. And I think even H3H3 has made comments that they do not defend that sort of thing at all. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Common Sense.
I was just going to say, what about gaming channels? Because that's generally exactly what you've just described is what gaming channels do. They have the gaming channel, the game that they're playing, right at the top, and playing it with the content that's going on, and with a little face in the corner. That's exactly what you've just claimed that reaction video is. Isn't that exactly the same thing? Because all you're doing is playing the content. So does that not mean that that's a reactionary video, by your definition?
Yes, if there is such a thing on gaming channels whereby they just watch someone else playing and all you see is them pulling faces as to what has just happened, then that would more than likely fall into that context, yes.
No, what I was meaning was they're actually playing the content, but because they're playing the content, it's the same content as what would happen if you were playing it at home or whatever, generally.
No, I don't think it's quite the same thing, but basically you're playing the game. So all you do, so basically you're showing yourself playing the game on screen, as in this is what I'm doing within the game, and this is also a physical representation of mine as I'm playing the game. And I don't think really that the game's producers have any problem with that, because to an effect you're advertising their game for them. But if you, for example, put onto the big screen the movie Titanic, and then in a small section at the bottom of the screen there is your face of you watching Titanic and reacting to the big moments as the film moves on, are you really producing content, or are you really just ripping off the film Titanic and not doing anything?
That's tough for me, Britisher. That really is a hard one.
And
to be fair,
particularly when it comes to people watching very large YouTubers and just once in a while saying, oh my God, oh, really? When they're watching PewDiePie or Jake Paul or whatever, when they're watching people like that, and they're really just reacting in that regard. So they're not critiquing it. You're just seeing their face as they're watching it. And that is a type of reaction video. And I think in that respect, that is still seen as, strictly speaking, just ripping someone off.
Can I just cut everybody off just for a second and just ask RPR, is that actually true, what you've just written down, or is that some form of satire as Sargon's being sued by Undoomed on Twitter? If he doesn't mind putting that into the chat at all.
No, he better not mind putting it in if he typed that. He said that Sargon is being sued by Undoomed. Sargon of Akkad just got sued by Undoomed for copyright infringement on Twitter. Yeah, speak up there. And send a link if you're not just full of shit there, RPR. Usually he's not, but you never know with this cat. He is Welsh.
They're not that bad a lot, the Welsh.
No, they're wonderful. I'm just pointing that out. I was just saying, draw from it what you will. No, he's a great guy, man. I'm telling you.
It looks like somebody else is suing him. It's not Undoomed. Undoomed has just tweeted about it, apparently, from what I can gather what's going on.
Okay, but this is from Lawful Masses with Leonard French. I'm not even sure who that is. Maybe I should know. But this is what I'm getting right now, boys. This is, how long is this? Let me look. Oh, it's a live stream. I'm not going to play somebody else's live stream right now on the channel. But if somebody has a short clip talking about this at all, that would be cool. And don't go look at that live stream. I'm not going to take the message down. If you do, you suck and you're thrown out of church for a week. We'll have our deacons escort you out if necessary. No, I'm just teasing. Come on, laugh. That was a joke. I've been in churches that were like that, though, man. It was in, like, bad part of town. And so they got a couple deacons at the door. But, usually your deacon at the door is Deacon Jones from up the street, like some old man. He's just like, Good morning, Mrs. Jones. Wonderful Sabbath morning, is it not? And then it's just like some old dude. Like, shows you.
Are you being inspired by Locke here to do your voices?
Coat, Mrs. Thompson. We'll watch your fur, madam. And then they got some ruffians. But there's ruffians. Man, I've preached at churches, Brett, where the the deacons look like bouncers. And like, because I don't know, but you got to help your kid. Wow, that was way off topic. This is interesting to me, boys. We should actually continue. Sometimes I wonder what the hell's going on in the world, but this is where I find out. Look who I scared up too, Brett. This makes it 3-1. And, you know, take that from, you know, again, draw from it what you will. 3-1. We have three Bretts here with us. Good to have you, Tiger.
Hey, y'all.
How you doing?
That didn't sound very British, that greeting.
It's what I do when I join Hangouts these days.
For a moment there, I already thought that was East Texas, but
it's what I don't know. It's something I've gone into the habit of doing when I join a stream or a Hangout.
it's most disconcerting. But I must ask you this: on your logo, on your avatar, those seem to be Chinese scripts.
Yes.
Does that spell something out? Something out in particular?
Yes, it does actually. I mean, a Chinese person might look at it and laugh. It's a bit flimsy, but I did look this up, and you know, it's obviously an association with tigers, because tigers have a lot of cultural significance in China. And the first one means, which is like a backwards E, is Chinese symbol Wang, which means king, and they
Wang.
yeah, exactly. And that comes on a tiger's forehead are supposed to resemble that symbol.
A wang?
No, the Chinese. No, yeah, a wang.
You've set him off now, haven't you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I get the
I
symbol.
just said the word wang.
The character.
then-
Let's say character, not symbol, because symbol could be a
And
wang.
the second character means tiger, and the second two symbols together mean sun. So there we go.
King Tigerson.
Yeah, I didn't mean it to be like that. Just I like King Tigerson. Just the first one is just there. For
God.
But
Tiger.
Or you're the son of a German tank?
yeah.
That's excellent to have you.
No, yeah, it's just a bit of cultural appropriation.
Pardon me.
Was that a comment?
No, lunch. It
But
slipped
did
out
I-
before I knew it was coming. You know, even where I'm from, that is a compliment, man. They think that it's only French people, and I guess there's some other cultures. But where I'm from, like, you know, a good thing. So sometimes you realize, man, I just burped audibly. I didn't do that. You know,
It's kind of rude over here, but we won't take it.
England, it's rude, right? Yeah, I
We won't
figured.
take it personally.
Common sense. I do have to ask. Now that Tigerson has arrived with his avatar, do you feel out-felined?
No, not particularly, because my one's real and his is not.
I gotta show something out too.
Well, sorry, I
Got
couldn't
this guy, man. I gotta bring up your channel, man, and
I
I'm just
couldn't
gonna show the beginning. I'll
get
screen
real.
share it. You got the dude, you got the cat, like, and he's looking, he's like, what's it say? Well, excuse me.
Is my avatar looking sideways at his?
It's so hilarious, man. He puts his cat in different positions. It's not always the exact same leg up position, but it's always in a position that you kind of get an idea of what he has just been doing or is thinking to do. You know, that there's something on the mind, because it's like leg, right? Straight up me.
Does
Anyway,
anyone mention to Britisher that I do a rather good Britisher impression?
Yeah, have at it, mate. Let's just derail this thing completely. Go for it.
Hang on, what shall I say? So what topic of conversation are we discussing right now?
Get out of here.
What has been the topic? What has been the topic of this stream? Or at the moment? It's a little.
You were supposed to start with "Really, Mr. Ogre." Anyway, that's how you start.
Really, the ogre?
Any British impression should start with the words "Really, Mr. Ogre."
Really, Mr. Ogre?
Yeah, that's it.
Really? The ogre.
Really? No, I like the years too. Got to figure what Richard says.
Can I just interrupt you just for a second?
Of course, talking to you. Just tear right.
According to Twitter, according to Undoomed, it is Aquila Hughes who is suing Sargon.
A killer? Who's that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a Brooklyn comedian.
Why is he suing Sargon?
I believe it's something to do with a video that was posted on the 19th of November 2016.
Okay. What did
So
Sargon...
something immediately recent and relevant, obviously.
Breaking news: Sargon of Akkad just got sued for copyright infringement.
Oh.
And this is their... Somebody say that name again. Somebody Hughes.
Did he steal
Aquila
a joke?
Hughes.
Aquila
Did he
Hughes.
steal a joke or something?
Yeah, I'm putting a link up here. This isn't an invitation to harass this person. It's just basically because this is the person's Twitter.
I think that vote has probably failed. If he's going to be harassed, he'll be harassed by now.
This is the individual.
She will be harassed. She will be harassed.
Is it a woman? Oh,
that's the one right there.
Oh God, I feel so bad.
That human being.
So as I say, it's not an invitation to basically pile onto that person's Twitter. It's basically this the person. So at least we know who we're talking about.
But definitely not a call to action that way. But I've got to say, it is a call to, if you think it's ridiculous for somebody. I mean, I want to see the evidence. Let's leave it at that, and we'll talk about it. Because right now in my heart, it's like, yeah, everybody should look into the information and get the evidence. And if this person is just trying to hurt Sargon because he's astute and he's got a little white in his beard and makes his living pontificating, well, that's not good.
I assumed stand-up comedian male. I feel awful. He is in fact a woman of color. I feel terrible now. But,
so am I in trouble now because I'm showing her Twitter feed?
Oh, does she work for BuzzFeed?
Legal, right?
She works for BuzzFeed, and then does she work for BuzzFeed?
Oh, it says right now Sunday Love. Obviously, no, I don't know. ICG advisor spelling.
I'm interested to see what it is specifically. Whether it's he stole a joke or he.
Oh, that'll come out soon enough, I imagine.
That's an archive of when she. I've just put in the side chat. It's an archive of when she first tweeted about it, and it goes all the way through as a Twitter archive.
Okay. Well, this is, I can't
you do it.
I can't research stuff at the moment. I'm on my phone. I can't really tabs and stuff. That's interesting. And yeah, I mean, not even people like Lacey Green or Anita Sarkeesian have actually gone as far as to sue Sargon, and I wouldn't, I'd kind of consider them possibly doing stuff like that in the past. So this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just sent a big fishing line out there, Brett. I think you probably saw that. I just tweeted I was like, hey, would you like to talk to the Britisher about this at the moment? I'm sure he'll not even respond to it, but you never know. You never know.
Undoomed is reasonably good at noticing anyone who tweets him. Like I've tweeted him a few times, and he's liked the reply. So
look,
for a big shot, he's pretty kind of.
Man, RPR beat me to this actually. He already said, "Are you free to stream with the Britisher and the Ogre right now?" No kidding. Yeah, that's funny.
That's helpful.
What a dude, man! You rock, brother. It helps to have people out there helping. Oh, anyway, did y'all notice, speaking of this stuff, that the ACLU had to tug its tail between its legs and run away and apologize? Everybody know, I know you're from Great Britain, but do y'all know who the this stands for? Ready? It's an acronym. It stands for All Crazy Lunatics Unite.
Is that really what it stands for? No, it's not.
No, it's the American Civil Liberties Union. I just thought it'd be a funny joke.
I think it sounds better, the first one, though, and probably more literal.
ACLU also a group that basically said that the the Unite the Right protest should be allowed to happen.
Oh, yes.
In Charlottesville.
Yeah, even a stop clock, right, twice a day, brother. Yes. They did say that, but they would. I mean, they are for freedom of speech usually. I'm not against this organization.
I know nothing about them. I've only heard about them because of this controversy now. But, it's so easy to just kind of assume that they're meaning, blonde, white children. But, it's obviously what's on the T-shirt.
Well, here we have it right here, man. I'll get us right off
And-
that other
yeah.
stuff. 'Cause that's
Oh, yeah, I
great.
can-
We'll just keep going on it. The
I-
American
yeah,
Civil
that's-
Liberties Union is what we call them, is doing damage control after Twitter leftists denounced the group for sharing a picture of a white baby holding an American flag of all things, the daggone traitor.
It's just a
In a tweet sent Wednesday afternoon,
baby.
you captioned a photo of a blonde-haired Caucasian child. I mean, have mercy, these bigoted bastards, wearing a free speech onesie and waving a flag. This is the future that ACL members want.
Oh,
I'll have at it now if you want. I mean, they show, look at this. And this is okay. Imagine if they did, oh man, I don't even want to like draw parallels.
If they done a like a baby in a clan outfit, because actually, in all seriousness, I watched this documentary about the modern KKK.
No, but what if they no, but hang on a second. What if they had a black baby? Because didn't you British
Well, that wouldn't be good enough.
hang on a second. Didn't you British fight the Zulus? Wasn't that y'all that did that?
yes.
There's
Yes, it
barely-
was.
So what if they had a
we
black
didn't fight.
baby? What if they had a black baby laying there in a grass skirt with one of them elongated shields and a spear and a bone through its nose right there? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Mm.
Why not?
Well, I'm with you, Tigerson, if this is okay, but I mean, they just like, come on, man. I find, I'm not saying it shouldn't be allowed. I just find this right here offensive.
Oh, that. Well, that's obviously offensive. And
Yes, but that is a satire, isn't it?
well,
Yeah, and I'm
that's
fine with it. But look, I'm not saying it, man. This is really, I'm glad we're talking about this, so I'll let y'all talk about it. But let me say it this way. I have no problem with them doing this as long as someone else could do what I just described and not be called a racist and a bigot and a xenophobe and everything in the book. As long as you can go both ways, because I'm exaggerating. Do I find it offensive? When I first seen it, I laughed my ass off. I thought, look at that little baby Hitler. I mean, it's kind of funny. So anyway, there you go, boys. I'm just saying that the tide that is happening right now, where if something you don't agree with comes out, which is this, how can you look at that baby? Look at that.
But can I ask, basically, what did they actually apologize for? I mean,
For having a baby that's white on the thing there, they tweeted this. That's all they did. It's not like it's on a publication.
well, yes, but what I mean is they tweeted it. But I mean, what is the apology they tweeted?
Oh, let's look. I'm not sure. I probably did read it up in amongst this garbage, but white kid with a flag. I mean, oh, this is the backlash to the innocuous tweet prompted the ACLU to tweet a correction where the group admitted the original message was somehow white supremacist. Quote, when your Twitter followers keep you in check and remind you that white supremacy is everywhere, unquote. The left-wing organization responded.
So is that
This
is
is
that,
Oh,
because that seems to be that seems to be editorial. So is it the original? Is the original further down the one with the Kermit the Frog?
no, that's the show. I don't know.
Well, no, that's got that text there, hasn't it?
When your Twitter followers keep you in check and remind you that white
And that seems-
supremacy is everywhere. Yeah.
And that seems to be the ACLU. That seems to be official ACLU tweet.
Oh man. It's unreal.
So they
Basically,
Is that-
first they put out a young white, a white baby with an American flag with free speech on, and then people complain, and then they say, "Oh well, yeah, thanks for reminding us that white supremacy is everywhere." Have they lost their mind?
Yeah, and there's some moron
didn't-
put
I
this.
didn't-
Pressure.
That's
Someone
not,
responded
that's not a
to this,
rhetorical question. It just seems completely irrational.
right.
I don't know whether it's just because I'm completely stupid, but I don't really get what they're trying to mean by the Kermit the Frog tweet.
It's a
don't
very
get
good point. Yeah,
I
it's
don't get
not.
it.
It's so hilarious.
Are they admitting that? Are they sort of apologizing for being complicit in white supremacy, or are they taking the piss? I don't.
No,
No, I think what they are saying is that yes, racism is within all of us, and we slipped up, and our racism accidentally showed.
You better believe it, Tigerson.
Okay.
That's what these people are saying is they're being
So
complicit.
Kermit is basically saying on their behalf,
Wow.
"Oh yes, that's a very good
Well,
point."
if they-
You-
if
If
you-
you didn't
you-
sing that song, it's not easy being green.
That's a great song.
It is too. I love
That
it.
is a truly great song. There's
is.
a lovely There's a lovely version of it on YouTube, which is from the original episode, which has this sort of
Jim Henson's voice.
this warm jazz guitar and Kermit and nothing else, and it's beautiful.
Oh, Lord, have mercy on my soul.
It's not bad, is it? Being green,
That's not terrible.
living to spend each day the color of the leaves.
Sounds like Jordan Peterson.
No, that was good. That was good. That was
And
good.
people
Kermit.
pass you over because you're not standing out like bright sparkles in the water or stars in the sky. But green's the color of spring, and green can be cool and friendly like. I can't remember the rest.
Oh,
I love
I
this
wasn't
song.
going to interrupt you. I'm glad nobody did that part. That was actually, to me, that was really good. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, thank you kindly.
I remember that song, and that was a way to come across to every little boy and girl that listened to it. The sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. And it's not easy being green. And since no humans were green, I think all of us youngsters got it back then. Who you were. It's not easy. Who
But
you
at the
are.
end of the song, he says, "But it'll do fine," and I'm green. It's beautiful, and it's what I want to be. It's a wonderful, heartfelt little ending as well.
Yeah, they were great. I
It's
love
like
them.
it's like a life's hard when you're green, but you know, whatever. Sort of.
All right, that was cool. I'm not joking. The song was cool, but we're not going to keep talking about Kermit's song and analyze it.
Before we move on, Ogre,
Well, these
Yeah,
three
well,
different- go ahead.
I was going to say on the screen that you were presenting before,
I'll pop it right back on here.
the gentleman that wrote the story that we were talking about from the ACLU. Have you seen that where your mouse is? No campus for white men. That's a
Oh,
book
this?
that this person. Yeah, that book is what this person's wrote.
Well, jump on that, folks. Check that out whenever you get a chance. No, I
I
haven't.
think I've heard of that book. In general, I don't know if I could be bothered to read a whole book on that topic because you could mostly
It's
just
tough
kind
for
of.
me too. I'm glad you said that because I want to lie.
You could,
It wasn't the
couldn't-
case
you
that I
might-
wanted to read
well,
the book or even go to the story. It was to
No, yeah,
pick up
yeah.
on the title.
No, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of the opinion that there's no point in reading a book that's been written in the last 20 years. Obviously, there are exceptions, but
Not many.
All good ideas have already been thought of, probably, maybe even 100 or 200 years ago.
You
I might-
cynical twat. You think because now you got a master's degree, you can just say shit like that. I don't agree.
No, I
with
haven't. No, I haven't got a degree. As in, I don't know. Different.
I don't
branches
agree
of
with what you
philosophy.
just said, though. I mean, in some ways, I see what you're saying, mate. But I honestly, in my heart, I don't know if I can't get on board with that.
I would strongly disagree with that too. It sounds a bit,
I would completely and utterly disagree with you as well on that one, Tigerson.
it sounds too
Right.
much like Francis Fukuyama, The End of History.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm not so massively compelled in that belief. It's just a general kind of. When it comes to thinking up new kind of philosophies and new thought processes of I don't know, the human condition or something. In just most sort of new philosophical ideas, I kind of think most ideas have already been written before already. Obviously, there are loads of different genres of book and different kinds of book. I mean, in terms of thinking up new kind of political ideas and new political philosophies or something, I think every idea has already been done, in a sense.
I don't disagree with that, but there's always a new spin on it because I mean I've heard there's a very, very wise philosopher that wrote, it's Jewish, King Solomon, and he wrote, "There's nothing new under the sun, no, not anything. What's done today was done yesterday and will be done again tomorrow." I mean that's 2,000 years ago, more than that, really. It's more
Was
like,
Solomon a philosopher, or was he merely?
Was Solomon a philosopher? He wrote Psalms and Proverbs. He wrote Proverbs. Yeah, I would call him a philosopher, right up there with Sun Tzu.
I knew he was wise. Of course.
But anyway, just to go back onto the actual point that Ogre made, that was 2,000 years ago, and look how much advancement that we've made since then. So how much more advancement will we make thinking that we're not going to make any. Just a point.
And I don't think Solomon or Tigerson, I play devil's advocate with him, are saying that no new advancements will be made in science or technology.
There's always going to be advances in science and technology. I'm just talking about, books with kind of philosophical or
it's got me over the last 20 years. I've read some good books.
I know what you mean, but how could we know what had not yet been thought of? Do you understand what I mean?
I know. I probably haven't read enough to make. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm completely right on this. Obviously, I'm saying, and I was definitely expecting people to disagree with me. I'm just, I don't know. I just think there aren't that many other kind of, theories of political systems or theories of, I guess, human morality
that is merely because Hillary Clinton has not been president yet.
Well, yeah, obviously, yes. I mean, okay, yes, obviously, yes.
Oh well.
Obviously, we haven't had
a woman. The great leap is still to come.
When we have a woman president, then that'll be the end all of everything. We just won't need. We'll just be.
Yeah, if having a woman prime minister is any guide, then perhaps having a woman president is not such a good idea.
Well, it's not better. It is what it is. You're president and you have a vagina. Oh, great.
That's all it takes.
It is what it. Who cares? And I have grown to despise Theresa May since the general election. So, and that's not because she's a woman. It's because she's a bit stupid, really.
Well, look what I found. Common sense guy.
Excuse me.
When I got your likeness up, I can actually say your bloody name.
You're being publicly humiliated by the ogre again.
And that's the way to do it.
No, it's my intro.
Let me ask you all a question though. Is the word bloody a suitable replacement for the F word in reality in your culture?
No, the word bloody is nowhere near as bad as the F.
It's nowhere near as bad as that?
No, well,
yes, and then
no, not as much. Well, not as much. Definitely.
There are quite a few people who take exception to the word bloody.
Yeah, I've ran into them. I said that in a group of I won't even say their name. When I was in a seminary, there was a group of English and they gathered together and I went over there and y'all know me by now enough to know I was kind of like trying to talk in an English way and be the funny wise guy. And I said, "How you doing this wonderful bloody morning?" And as soon as I said bloody, and I just made that, I don't remember how I used it, but as soon as I said bloody, I mean, Danela's the one that she was like, oh, I mean, she drew in a deep breath and covered her mouth, and she was just appalled that
Was she just so appalled that you said something so cringeworthy?
No, it was the bloody. They were used to the cringe.
In fact, it is one of those words that, you know how people will say, freaking solar roadways, rather than we know what. So in that same way...
I wonder where you got that from.
Yeah, precisely. So in that same way, people will substitute bloody for ruddy.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want to say the bad word.
Ruddy is a bit less than...
Well,
Ruddy's fine.
This whole thing's killing me, but I tell you, as far as this person goes, I haven't even looked at my Twitter. I'm sure
that video with SJW in the title.
I doubt we'll see anything back.
Oh, is it just for him? Doing some kind of video response.
Oh, Undoomed actually did say, "Sure, what's your question?" I want to send you a link to the chat. Undoomed didn't answer. Holy shit, I didn't even look at that. So what do I ask him, Brett?
Was it literally him doing a response video to this comedian, and it just?
Can you elaborate further on the Sargon story?
Okay.
That sound.
Yeah. Sorry. Is this question done?
Can you elaborate? E-L.
Do you know more?
Elaborate.
Hang on.
Made me feel terrible. E-L.
There you go, side chat.
And now I'm okay. It made me do the hard way. I can look back and forth. I'm not a touch type of thing. Y'all can talk. Would you join?
Yeah, so it has been. It basically, I mean, this does sort of come as a bit of a shock because I just before kind of somewhat improvised that bit of news about H3H3, who had just been sued for copyright and won the claim after 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just going to send him the daggone link right here, right now to the open thing because I don't have an end road to him. I'm not going to make.
If you send that, we might suddenly get a flood of people coming in.
I don't care, Brett. If somebody,
imagine how many people might be watching Undoom's Twitter.
Pick them out. I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. Damn. Why do you just? You know what? Quit being so bloody British all the time, man. My grandpa would say you would mess up a wet dream sometimes, son. Oh, you're right though. I better not tweet because could be. I would like to get him in here. I did send.
It makes me sort of smile a little bit, sort of titter a little bit when I hear Jordan Peterson using the word bloody. it's just kind of funny.
Yeah,
I mean, but it is a thing in Canada, definitely, isn't it? I think they have a few kind of sort of sayings that we have. We kind of.
But they're a little more British in that regard due to their history, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're still part of the empire, aren't they?
They're very much more British than they are American. If y'all want me to put my 2 cents in, they don't live.
That is until they start electing men called Trudeau.
I was watching some stuff about him today too, mate, and I tell you, he'd be right on board with all this. They just gave a Muslim guy, got out of Guantanamo Bay, ran by America. He got out of there, went back to Canada. He's a Canadian citizen. He owes millions to the families of the people he killed that were American in a bombing. But when they got there, they gave him $10.2 million for his hassle that he suffered in Guantanamo Bay, and made it Trudeau specifically made it so that they couldn't touch his money.
What?
And man, I was wow, man.
Trudeau actually know what the hell he's actually doing?
Yeah, I was listening to some quotes. He was like, if they're citizens of England, of England, if they're citizens of Canada and they're terrorists, they're still citizens. We won't, and that's even, he's talking about people that have come there and got their whatever. Oh man, he's out of his mind.
He's just a weird robot. He's just, I don't know.
Well, but have you seen how
he's just
how
so
fawning some on the left are regarding Trudeau? But he is kind of
he's
almost a second coming.
The most I've seen him covered on BuzzFeed and stuff, it's just, have you seen this picture of Justin Trudeau's arse? We can't stop talking about it.
Well, yes, but that's just it. They describe him as kind of a sex symbol, as well as a one of the greatest political minds of the 21st century.
Yeah, well, it all started with because it's 2015. I think that was 2 years ago now. Shit,
because it's the current year. Yes,
2 years ago now.
I wonder what his bill for makeup is.
Probably.
Have you heard the story of Emmanuel Macron, the new French president?
Which one? Which story? Sorry.
He spent over 20,000 euros, I think, on makeup.
For
basically, so 2 makeup artists have so far sent in their bills, and it's come to over 20,000 euros.
For himself or for his wife? Or?
No, for himself.
Oh.
So,
right.
Given that Emmanuel Macron can
that's a bit strange.
Rush up that kind of a bill, you kind of wonder what dear old Justin in Canada must be coming up with in order to look so fresh and exciting and have such a beautiful behind that the press just can't stop talking about.
Well, he also employs the hairdressers for 10K a month as well.
I think he's had work done on his arse.
No, it's just funny. Maybe, who knows? He might have had some implants, or at least he's got a personal trainer to keep them buns in steel,
Yeah, maybe
it was just funny how he wrapped it up.
On that region.
Beautiful behind.
But I bet even Theresa May doesn't spend £20,000 on makeup. Not saying she's
that ain't gonna help her.
A horrible looking person.
Because the ugly comes from the inside out. I don't want to get all ad hominem-y, but she is a disgusting, vile, ugly human being that
Mr.
I would
Ogre?
consider. Yes.
No,
In
she's
the
not
side chat, put a link in.
disgusting and vile. She's just a bit of an idiot for what she did with the snap general election. She's not
Oh, that's
disgusting.
nothing.
Oh,
What
yeah,
she's doing, the way she is raping the internet, I think, is considerably more
Yeah, that's
vile than.
and
what-
she did some stupid stuff when she was Home Secretary as well. Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, it looks like right here, like that's Marcron. 26,000 makeup bill since May.
Is that just on makeup, or has he had surgery as well? Do you think?
No, just on makeup.
Just makeup.
That is so weird.
He spends 10 grand a month on hiring hairdressers to do his hair.
Love.
Well,
That's sort of the same money that Simon Cowell spends on himself as well, on his.
Well, he made that money, man. If you like the way he did it or not, this guy's spending like French people's money.
Well, as I say, much of his attraction as a political candidate was about his youthfulness and his elan.
Yep.
So now, of course, he is very keen to kind of maintain that public image, and hence, no doubt, as a French president, you will sometimes be up until 4 o'clock in the morning if need be. So he's obviously determined to still look as fresh-faced as ever. I mean, I don't think otherwise one can explain that sort of a bill.
No, that's insane. I mean, that's like, I just can't imagine that. Even if Britt, I could have.
If you look on screen, it says that since entering the Elysee Palace in May, the 39-year-old president. You've just disappeared there. Yeah, if you just present, then I can read it. Has settled two bills from the personal makeup artist called Natasha M. One for 10,000 euros and another for 16,000 euros. So,
well, folks, I got to break back in here very quickly. It's all coming to an end now. It's just nice to see RPR out there. We got Jensen Quinn. I right now have 22 hours in total from yesterday and today. And I will have a couple hours show tonight with Common Sense Guy, which will round it out to 24 hours. So here you go, 24 hours of live stream from the Ogre in less than 48 hours. Not too shabby. I'm sure that I'll have my detractors, and Cabbage Patch Bastard called me everything but an intelligent white man last night. But it was great to see him, as I said before. So just before I let go, I had some beers last night. Haven't done that in a long time, so I actually had Mrs. Ogre pick one up today, because if you feel a little queasy and you've been drinking, sometimes another little drink is the best thing. So I'm going to have that and probably get a little nap and get ready for the show tonight. Thank you so much. The Super Chatters, Captain Colepile, I know you're not here. We got Point Curation. Thank you so much, man. We had a few others. I don't want to miss anybody, but I'm going to, because it was over the course of these 3 streams. As much as the money, in fact, in a lot of ways more. I just want to say one more time that you're important. You're what makes this. You, Jensen Quinn, you, RPR, Matt, Barkley, so glad. Also, let me say very quickly, I didn't make a big deal about it. Man, Matt, I'm so glad that you're out. I hope that your probation, if you have it, is light, and that you'll be able to get through that, and they won't try to get you back into a, an uncomfortable situation. But welcome home. Glad you were home for Thanksgiving. Glad you're going to be home for Christmas. Hope that all of your dreams and your aspirations come to fruition, and that you can remain free, and that you, you can just be here with us. We really enjoy you being here, Matt. So that's the end, folks. I almost feel like I could go on and on and on and on and on, but I know that I'm going to crash as soon as this is over. Means the world to me. It really does. Thank you so much, Zero Cool. He is popped in there, and Zero, I said it. I'm going to say it again. He's come such a long way. He's always been talented. He's always been intelligent, but like myself, not always restrained. He's found a way to bring that mix of the natural passion he has, the excellent ability to tell stories and convey ideas that he has, and to keep it at a tone that we can all listen to. I know I've worked on that very hard. It's not easy for folks like us that have two speeds, go and sleep. So I'm going to take and put my mind in that other speed, which is sleep. I'm going to say this. As to all y'all, and remember, folks, be good to your friends, be good to your family members, be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. Because, constant viewer, like I always say, at a time we think not, our friends, our family members, our loved ones, our life, and everything we know and hold dear will depart. See y'all tonight.